Hello, welcome to Sutliffian Report. And John, I just want to let you know I am not the one that's on 2 or 3 hours from now. That is Usama. That's why I'm on 2 or 3 hours later. but that's his show. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I do a 10 o'clock show Saturday nights, and we go all the way past midnight my time. And this week it'll be his time too. So we'll see how much harder it is for him. Oh my gosh, it's a late night when we do that. We are going to be tackling Sharia tonight again with critical thinking, using your brains, making you think, and we're going to be covering what I would consider a sensitive topic, which is death, and it's how you take care of the dead. What do you do? And I don't think most people uh, unless you're older, grasp some of the things behind this. Now, I say unless you're older. If you're in your 50s and above, you've probably had to deal with someone close dying where you may have actually taken part in that process. Um, Either walking a relative through it or going through the process yourself for somebody close. And this is not something easy. And when I say it's not something easy, I totally mean that. It is totally not something easy. Now, we're going to try and be real sensitive when we go through that. There are going to be some times you're going to want to ask questions. How does this get done? As much as there's some things that may make you ask, how is that possible? I mean, and you may want to laugh just because we're covering the concept of funeral. I'm going to ask that we don't laugh. I'll work on myself too, because there's one thing in here that makes me say, how do you do that? And and there's going to be some things that are translated in here that I won't show, um, because the translation makes you. I've got to verify with a human being rather than the AI component. Make sure it's accurate, because if it's accurate, I still wouldn't show it. So that tells you something about Sharia, that maybe some things need to be exposed about the translation, but not everything should be put into a Christian form. Now, I do want to share with you God's word because that's how I usually start. And I usually start with a relatively short portion. And today, I mean, I've been going through something and I don't know how to explain it, but this passage just kind of hit me, and it's taken me a few days to get through it. It's Second Kings 3, and I think some people just rush through this, and it took me a few days to get through it. So I'm just going to read it all and I'll tell you my thoughts. 2 Kings 3. Now Jehoram, the son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father and like his mother. For he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless, he cleaved to the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin, and he departed not therefrom. And Mesha, king of Moab, was a sheep master, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with wool. But it came to pass, when Ahab was dead, the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram went out of Samaria the same time and numbered all of Israel. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, saying, the king of Moab has rebelled against me. Will you go with me against Moab to battle? And he said, I'll go up. I'm as you are. My people are as your people, and my horses as your horses. He said, which way shall we go? And he answered, the way through the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey. And there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. That's their supply chain. You got to have a supply chain if you're going to war. And the king of Israel said, alas, that the Lord has called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, "Here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah." And Jehoshaphat said, "The word of the Lord is with him." So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, "What have I to do with you? Get you to the prophets of your fathers and the prophets of your mother." And the king of Israel said unto him, "Nay, for the Lord has called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab." And Elijah said, "As the Lord of hosts lives, before, when I stand surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look towards you, nor see you. But now bring me a minstrel." And it came to pass, when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. And he said, "Thus says the Lord, make this valley full of ditches. For thus says the Lord, you shall not see wind, nor shall you see rain. Yet the valley shall be filled with water, that you may drink, both you and your cattle and your beasts. And this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand, and you shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and you shall fell every good tree, and stop all wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones." And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that, behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor upward and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, "This is blood. The kings are surely slain. They've smitten one another. Now, therefore, Moab to the spoil." Well, when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled from them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites, even in their country. And then they built, and then they, sorry, and they stopped all the wells of water and felled all the good trees. Only in Kirisheth that they left the stones thereof. Howbeit the slingers went about and smote it. And when the king of Moab saw the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men and drew swords to break through even unto the king of Edom. But they couldn't. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him for a burnt offering upon a wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. Now, I say there's a number of things here that need to be looked at to understand this chapter. Jehoram, who is now the king of Israel, has replaced his brother. Now, when their father died, Moab rebelled and refused to continue paying tribute. Joram's brother didn't act to squash the rebellion. The very first verse of this book, 2 Kings, addresses the rebellion of Moab. Ahaziah, that brother, had ignored them. The rebellion. Maybe it was due to his physical condition. I'm not sure. Jehoram appears to be very aware of the books and the lack of payments. He recognizes that in truth, he doesn't have the knowledge to lead a military response and seeks the assistance of Judah's king. So it was King Jehoshaphat's idea to enter Moab through Edom. So they could do it secretively. I mean, you don't just show up with an army and say, "Okay, let's go to war." So, we got that advice. Moab is not next to Israel, nor to Judah. They could approach by the Dead Sea, but this would be seen. So instead, Israel's army went south, joined with Judah's army, and then farther south went into Edom, where they joined with its army. Edom's kings had served God, so this suggestion by Jehoshaphat is a binding together of a threefold cord. But sadly, all 3 kings have engaged their armies without first consulting God. They came fully prepared with supplies. Of course, armies travel on their stomach. That's why it says there was no water and mentions cattle. The lack of water creates a sense of urgency to check in with God to see if what they're doing has a stamp of approval. The one to question if they've stood against God on their decision is not the king of Judah nor the king of Edom. It's the king of Israel, who still follows in many of his father and mother's sins. The 3 kings have gathered in Edom with their armies to go to war and now ask if there's a prophet of God available. Well, one of the servants tells them Elijah is present. God knew they would call on him and put a guy there. He put his man there. And I just think that's a fascinating piece of scripture. Sorry, it's a little bit longer than I usually share, but there's more there. And it kind of surprised me when I was doing when I do my devotions and I write these pieces. I'll look at commentaries, and I have a few favorite ones. And one of my favorite ones really had nothing. I was kind of surprised, kind of that they just saw it as a matter of fact. You can't really comment on it. And I just think there's an awful lot there to learn from. That's just me. Now let's get into this. This should be a mind number for some people. We're talking about the funeral book. And this is it's going to be shocking. And keep in mind this question. Does Shariah cause the process of cleaning the body to be difficult? And I could have corrected. I'll have to correct that. To be difficult. That is the real question. And of course, this is what happens when you rush and don't do it correctly. According to, you notice it says funeral book, and on the top it says funeral prayer. Google Translate insists the terminology is funeral book. I double-checked a few different places and ways, and it actually seems to be funeral book. Funeral prayer doesn't make sense because they address far more than prayer. So this is going to get interesting. All right, do I have a volunteer to read first? Is this large enough for everybody to see, or do I need to make it larger?
I can do it.
Okay.
All right. What do we got? G1.0, visiting the sick and dying?
Yeah.
Okay. Division G, Chapter 1, Verse 1. It's recommended for everyone to frequently remember death, particularly if one is ill, and prepare for it by repenting because of the hadith. Remember often the ender of pleasures, meaning death, a hadith related by Tirmidhi, Ibn Hibban, and Hakim, the latter two classifying it as rigorously authenticated. Nasi version has the addition, for truly it is not remembered in the plenitude, save it diminishes it, and not remembered in a dearth, save it increases it. Plenitude meaning of wives, in this worldly goods, and dearth meaning spiritual works.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, when you start, I get the concept of repenting, but Allah doesn't really forgive sins from what I see. When you read the Quran, I mean, he doesn't punish sins. So why does he forgive them? And that just makes me think, what's the intent here? Are they saying that if they don't repent, they're going someplace else? I mean, this is something to think about. I mean, what's their real intent? Oh, you have to become Muslim. Okay, I get that they're saying that. Well, if you don't become Muslim, does that mean you're still going to hell? Or if you do become Muslim, are you going to hell? Well, that's what the Quran tells you. You're going to hell if you become a Muslim anyways. So why? I mean, why do anything? All Muslims are guaranteed that. So sad. Makes you think. The ender of all right. Ender of pleasures. Well, I think yeah, that's a good point. Ender of pleasures would be Allah, aka Muhammad. Now, is this? I would say Muhammad believes he is the bringer of pleasures, but death. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Muhammad would consider himself equated with death, though. I think they're talking about death, so I'm not exactly sure how that would go. Let's go on. And real. G1.2. Let's see. Darcy, do you want to read?
Sure. It is recommended to visit the ill even if the malady is only sore eyes, whether the person is a friend or enemy. If the sick person is a non-Muslim subject of the Islamic State, a dhimmi, then if he is a relative or a neighbor, visiting him is recommended. If not, visiting him is merely permissible.
That's kind of confusing, isn't it? The way it's worded. Is it recommended or is it permissible?
Yeah, that doesn't help my brain fog.
Well, that's kind of the issue here. I mean, it's recommended. If it's not recommended, it's permissible. And kind of, I like that they do have something. Okay, visit your friend, visit your enemy. Okay, but permissible means like, okay, you're doing something and you need permission. All right. I'm guessing Red is on his way home, so I'm going to read G1.3. It's offensive.
I'm here now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm here now.
All right. Do you want to read 1.3?
Sure. 1.3. It is offensive to sit lengthily with a sick person. Oh, sick person. It is offensive to sit lengthily with a sick person. It is recommended not to continuously visit, but only from time to time, unless one is a relative or similar person of his friends, whom the sick person is fond of, or someone of the righteous, from whose presence others divine spiritual blessing. Barakah. For any whom visiting the sick person is recommended at any time, as long as there is no objection by the sick person to long visits.
I have to say, when you have that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you should visit the sick.
Well, it does, and it kind of makes sense. You shouldn't spend too much time. I mean, when I'm sick, yeah, sure, thanks for coming by, but I'm going to throw up now, and you don't need to see that go away. You know what I mean? I just want to, so, okay. That's kind of sensible, I guess. Like, yeah. I'm racist against sick people. No, I just don't like to be bothered when I'm sick. Especially, when you're sick, you're like, what's wrong with you? I'm sick. Leave me alone. But no, how you feel? No, just leave me alone. Okay. I'm okay. That is spiritual advice from Radical Moderate.
So the truth is that there are some people who will visit and overstay their visit when you're not feeling well. So this is actually surprisingly good advice. And you won't hear me say that very often, but I think it's actually good advice.
A broken watch is right twice a day.
Well, we're at once or twice, so this makes sense. I mean, I like it. I'm not fond of the wording, but it is something what it is. I mean, it works. All right, let's go on. We'll go on to G1.4. And I guess I'll read this one. If the visitor has hopes that the patient will survive, he supplicates for them. Now, supplicate is a word that we have learned that Muhammad doesn't understand. We have learned that Islam doesn't understand. So if the visitor has hopes that the patient will survive, he supplicates for him, saying, "O Allah, Lord of men, remove the harm and heal, for you are the healer, besides whom there is no other, with a cure that will not leave behind pain or sickness," and then leaves. But if the visitor sees little hope of recovery, he should encourage the sick person to repent and to make his bequests, or by telling him, "You should repent all of your sins so that Allah Most High heals you, for repentance is reason for cures. And you should make some provision for bequests, as if prolongs one's life, a person should make bequests while alive and only die after having done so, for there is no one who does not pass on." Okay, it's appointed once to die. I get that part. Now, we're going to get the next section after death is zakat. And in the section on zakat, they talk about paying people to convert. That's where some of your zakat money goes to. Are they talking about, okay, we'll pay you? I mean, I kind of wondered here. They're going to do things, make life easier for you. All you got to do is convert. We'll make life easier for your family. I mean, it almost makes me wonder if that's kind of what they're saying here. Person should make bequests while alive and only die after having done so. And then they think so low of their God that he will most likely heal you if you repent, but if you don't repent, he doesn't love you anyways. And I'm still waiting for a Muslim to point out to me some place in the Quran where Allah says he loves those who don't love him. I just want one spot. I mean, I don't care if it's vague. I'd love to see something where Allah says, I love those who don't love me. Just once. I mean, that might interest me. It's not there, but all right.
Why aren't they following the Sunnah then? If they're saying that they should provide bequests, because Muhammad didn't appoint a successor. Muhammad didn't say what was supposed to go to whom, did he? I don't remember.
That's exactly it. You're asking the right question. I mean,
by not making a bequest, you're following the Sunnah of their false prophet.
Yeah, and that would be truthful. I mean, if you're following Muhammad, you don't. I think there's a difference between following foolishness, and I think even the Muslims recognize
there is no difference between following foolishness and following Muhammad. That's all. It's just a
yeah. I was just saying this is one of those things even Muslims recognize as foolishness. That it's better to take care of business for your family.
You've got to stop using common sense here. You're making me smart.
Oh boy. Oh, now this is actually a good point. The janazah ridiculousness if Allah had already decreed your final destruction 40 years before you were born. So understand this. Remember, when you're born, Allah is supposed to have these angels out, and they're supposed to be taking notes and writing everything about your life. It's already pre-written. So the time you die is already chosen for you, according to the Quran and the tafsirs on this. And when you look at that concept, okay, all this is written. So does it, I mean, if you didn't leave a message, or if you did leave something, yeah. And this is a concept you try to explain to young teenagers about what happens. We're talking about kingdoms of how does a kingdom survive when the king or the emperor dies? Well, it goes to the child. Okay. What if there's no child? Oh, you start to talk about these things. What happens? And in Muhammad's case, there was no child that could take that spot. So that's another thing altogether.
I know he had male children. Were there any male children of his alive?
No, he had a son who died, and this is one of the reasons my interpretation is that he started his cave dwelling or cave spelunking, whatever you want to call it, times for prayer in caves. I believe that's after his son dies. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, okay, this isn't making a lot of sense. You have 11 wives. 11 wives.
Oh, this is his first wife that he's.
Well, I understand that, but over his lifetime, you have 11 wives. Can't just one of them have a male child and keep that male child alive?
If somebody has no swimmers, that can't happen.
But he had daughters, did he not?
He had a daughter.
Okay, well then he's got to have something going on.
Might not have very many
you know,
swimmers.
I know somebody's going to post, "Oh, Hasta."
Oh, it gets worse. Or she was visiting somebody else on the side.
Well, this may be true.
I think the realistic thing when it comes to Muhammad's sexual prowess is that he was either impotent or definitely there is a case to be made that he was impotent from time to time, but that he definitely was sterile, thank God, and that any children or progeny that were born were done by, someone else. I'm just saying.
You got to
Because there's no
remember.
way.
You got to remember. He imagined a thing that did not happen.
Right. That's what I'm saying, that he was impudent, But anyway,
Well,
no, my point is this. I mean, seriously, it is impossible. If you're having that much sex and you got that so much semen that it's all over your clothes all the time, covering your... Well, maybe that's the problem. He's putting the...
he might have semen, but he might not have swimmers. You can have semen without swimmers, and that's his issue. That's what it sounds like.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was sterile.
Andrew says that his first wife had children by other men, and the daughter that he is
supposed to be Muhammad's supposed to be the second husband.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I guess you'd have to care enough just to follow that. I don't really, I just know that within a year of his death, his whole family was exterminated by Muslims. Seriously, within let's say 5 years of his death, his whole family was exterminated. His daughter was murdered with his grandbaby in her belly. Then his two grandsons, Hassan and Sham, were both murdered by Muslims. Right. Ali, his adoptive nephew or whatever, was also murdered by Muslims. Yeah, so I mean, the Muslims just wiped out the beloved prophet, the beloved memory of their prophet. Yay!
Well, again, this is about, if we're just looking at this as being about death, though, and about being towards death, and I think that again, this is where the Muslims are smarter than their imaginary prophet. Again, there's nothing in the Quran that calls him a prophet. I still can't find it. This is where Usama and I disagree. I look at the word seal as a stamp of approval, which is a messenger. And I'm looking at it from the historical perspective, not from an interpretation.
The fireworks on Sunday when they were arguing this fight on my show. I mean, it was... Oh yeah. Brad, Ed, Connie...
Well,
they were beating each other about the head and shoulders over this thing, and I'm just like, guys,
he's a messenger. He's not a prophet. Right. That's what the scriptures say. That's what their scriptures say.
It was over Israel. What do we call? No, not Israel. Palestine. That was it. I'm sorry.
Or we'll use the Arabic pronunciation, Palestine.
Palestine.
Yes. Palestine. I'm going to leave that alone. Everybody should know what that is. All right.
Not going there.
I'm not saying what it is. If you can't figure it out, go look. All right. And why is this not going? Okay. All right. So here we go. G1.6.
We're supposed to be on 5. G1.
There we go. 1.5.
Yeah. There we
go.
All
right. And let's see. Who was first? Darcy? Or
Eric.
No, Eric. You were. Okay.
Eric, the Thecapher, was first. Okay. Instructing the dying person. Don't die. That's what it should say, but it doesn't say.
It kind of does.
Don't die. Instructing the dying person. If this makes sense. Okay. If the visitor sees the person is dying, he should make him desirous of Allah's mercy, since hope should predominate over fear in this state, and should turn him to face the direction of prayer, the Qibla, by laying him on his right side. I'm sorry.
What do they tell you about people that are dying? You don't want to move them.
He's dying.
Move them.
Oh, you're not facing this rock in the desert. Hold on. Let me get you lined up here. Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. You're going to die, but we're not going to give you any hope. Don't wait. We're giving you hope, but no, we're not giving you hope. What do you mean you're moving me? That's what you do when somebody dies.
You know, I I had a friend of mine had lung cancer. Never smoked a cigarette in his life. Had died of lung cancer. But we went to move his bed. He was bedridden. He couldn't. I mean, he was within days of dying, and he was in so much pain when we just jiggled the bed just a little bit when we were moving it, because there's four of us and we all picked up a post and we were moving it across. And to imagine, say, hold on, buddy, I'm going to move you so you're facing the kid. No, let me go to hell if that's the case, for Pete's sake. Anyway, let me finish this. All right. Face him in the direction of prayer by laying him on his right side, or if impossible, on his left. If this too is impossible, he is laid on his back with his face and feet towards the direction of prayer by propping up his head a little, feet meaning the bottoms of them. The visitor should then instruct the dying person to say, "There is no God but Allah," letting him hear it so he can repeat it, but without irritating insistence and without telling him, "Say." When he says it, then he is let be until, what is that? What?
Let be. It's very bad English, yes.
When he says it, let be until, when he says it, then he is let be. Okay, he's let alone. Okay, until he himself speaks of something else. It is recommended that the person instructing him to say it be neither his heir nor enemy.
And so they're pushing. I guess there's a little ritual towards death, and the Christians would be, repent, ask God for forgiveness, and be ready to meet your Maker. And if you're a Christian, you get to go with joy and take that nice little walk. But it's interesting. They talk about fear here. They talk about gotta face a certain direction. My question now is, you're going to hear the answer in a few minutes. What happens if they don't face that direction? It's going to come up. So it'll make you think. They're dying. You want them facing that direction as they're dying. Okay. Here we go. Darcy, can you read the next one? G 1.6. Just read the
Sure.
left side and we'll talk about what's on the right.
When he dies, it is recommended that the contest to him is
Of his unmarriageable.
of his
I'm gonna
unmarriageable
enlarge this
son.
for you guys. All right, make that larger.
Unmarriageable can close his eyes. It is recommended to close his jaws with a wide bandage tied above his head so that his mouth is not left open. 2, to make his joints flexible by bending the forearm to the upper arm, calf to thigh, thigh to stomach, and then straightening them. And to similarly flex the fingers in order to facilitate washing and shrouding him. If the joints are flexed at this point, they remain flexible, but if not, it becomes impossible afterwards.
So this is what we're talking about here is rigor mortis. They're breaking rigor mortis. And that is, the person is stuck in a position. It's hard to, we're talking about you're physically stuck and their body solidifies in a certain manner. It could be just as like I got my hands right here. And you'd have to actually physically grab the arm, pull it down. And that's what they're describing, breaking rigor mortis. Notice the part with the jaw. On the right, it says, and it's not here, which I found humorous. It says closing the eyes, and tying his beard with a wide band tied over his head so his mouth doesn't remain open. I thought it was interesting they left out the beard. I have no understanding why they thought the beard was, shouldn't be included. Okay, I got a nice beard. I'm not going to complain. All right. Again, they talk about the joints and everything. Can you finish 3 and 4, please? And I'll put this bigger.
Yeah, 3, to gently remove his clothes and to cover him with a white cloth, tucking the edge under his head and feet so that they do not become uncovered. 4, and to place something heavy on his stomach to prevent bloating.
So, did you hear them say that they have him stripped naked pretty much? They took off his clothes, right?
Yeah,
And now you have to cover him. And again, the part where they're putting something on his stomach is this has to do with what happens after you die is your fluids and everything, all the excrement will eventually come out. And that's part of this, part of the process. That's what it comes down to. It sounds bad, but that's really what they're talking about. It's the dying process. You go through rigor mortis, your excrement will come out. That they're trying to encourage the process a little faster. All right. And we're up to Rad.
What you want me to read?
Can you read 1 point? You know what? I'll have you read the first one on the right. You can see that.
First one. 1.7?
Yes.
Okay. He is recommended to pay off his debt or pay it off. And he is recommended to hasten to carry out his will and prepare it. This if he does not fear that it will change. Otherwise, he must hasten to do so, to prepare and bury him.
So I have problems with the way this is written. How is he, the guy who is dead? I mean, if this is the guy going through the process of taking care of the guy, how is he going to hasten and pay off the guy's debts? I mean, if you're the son, I kind of get it. But if it's the dead guy, I mean, does taking care of someone who's died, does that now make you responsible to pay off their debts? I mean, these are questions we probably should ask. From what I'm reading here, either that makes the dead guy responsible for paying off his own debt, or it makes the guy who's taking care of him responsible for paying off his debt. Does anybody else see that too, or is that just me? Eric, if you're talking, we're not hearing you.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, I'm trying to understand it. I mean, you're supposed to pay off this guy's. Let me read the other one. It's recommended to hurry in implementing his bequest and readying him for burial. Burying him is unlikely. The body rapidly change. Obligatory it is likely that has nothing to do with it or have creditors.
It sounds like the guy who does this stuff is now responsible for paying off his debts.
Right. Well, maybe being the executor, per se, what we would say a modern equivalent of his executor, to pay off his debts, execute whatever bequests he might have had. Because I'm sure they didn't run things through probate or have, a lengthy.
That's a good explanation. That makes sense. I just had a problem with the way it was worded. I mean, it almost sounds like they want the dead guy to take care of business, but then you read it and you're like, wait a minute. If you get stuck doing this, it says recommended to hasten to pay off his debts.
Well, I would say this would be you would select somebody to before you die. Say, look, I would like you to dispose of my corpse, or however you want to say it. Bury me, prepare me for burial, bury me, and then discharge all of my, current business that's going on, divide up my estate how I want it to.
And this again is
all encompassing.
This is one of the few spots of common sense in Shariah, which makes some sense. You want to take care of business.
Well, it is a death cult after all, so making sure that you do the death part right
would make sense.
Would be a good idea. Yeah.
All right. Can you continue, Rad? 1.8. You choose left or right. I don't care which one right now. They're
All
pretty
right,
close.
sure can. Okay, 1.8. When someone dies suddenly or is believed to have died, okay, either they died suddenly or they're dead. You can't.
Yes.
Anyway, the body is left until it is certain he's dead.
Okay, it's before.
Wait, by a change in odor or the like.
Yep. I was waiting for that one. Okay.
That's a
Notice on the right, if he dies or thinks he, listen, if he dies or thinks he dies suddenly, you thought you died suddenly. Oh, this is where it's getting bad. Again, the translation, you said, like, he was left to be certain of his death by. They waited till he stunk. So he's dead for 3 or 4 days, we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, he's a little bit ripe.
Well, no, is under Islamic traditions and the Sharia, are they not required to bury somebody within a day of their death?
See, now you're asking the questions I'm asking.
Oh,
Because, I mean, this is something been asking. I haven't seen a rush here to get anything done yet. Have you?
seen a what get done yet?
A rush to get anything done.
Well, you want to, before you bury somebody, you want to, I agree, it is important to ensure they're dead. You don't want to bury somebody alive. That'd be a
Yes.
mistake. Whoops, sorry about that. You're not getting an error.
Okay, but you're gonna wait 3 days till they stink. Okay.
No, you're not gonna wait that long. But then again, believe that he has died. The body is left until it is certain it is dead. Well, how long do you have to be, or how long does it
It
have
takes
to
3
be
days
to be
before
certain
that odor. 4 days that
Well,
odor.
see,
3 or 4 days.
here's where this does not line up with the Quran either, because they say that Jesus swooned. Those people who claim the swoon theory about Jesus, it only appeared to them. Well, they were not certain he was dead, and yet they buried him. What's that's that. I mean, they're not following. Evidently, these first century Muslims that presumably existed were not following what would have been good Sharia or non-codified Sharia at that time, I guess. But when the guy has been hanging there on the cross, has not moved to get a breath, and then has a spear shoved through his lungs and his heart, and he's still not dead. No, wait a second. Don't take him off that cross. We're not sure if he's dead yet. We can't do that. Hold on. Wait a minute. This is ridiculous. This is the hypocrisy of this.
Yes. So let him stink for 3 days. As long as he stinks, then they can bury him. I'm like, and it's so bad, the exact translation. And again, I got this from the Google Translate app. It just makes you think. Red, can you read the last one on the page, 1.9?
Sure can. Washing the dead person, shrouding him, praying over him, carrying him, and burying him are communal obligations.
This is where it gets
So it's a whole thing.
Yeah. On the right, and washing him, shrouding him, and praying over him, carrying him, and tamping it. This is interesting. Does it say communal obligations on the right, or does it say sufficient duties?
Sufficient duties. What was tamping at mean? I guess that means putting him down.
Putting something on his tummy to make sure things come out. Yeah, when you start thinking about tamping, might be the right description.
Okay, I see what you're. Yeah, okay, I was thinking like tamping that dirt down to make sure he stays down there and doesn't.
Well, he's got. You don't want more after you put him in the shroud.
Right.
Then you have to get new shrouds.
I was talking. We're just getting back to this real quick about the stinky thing. I was talking. This is years ago because I was going to join the Chicago Police Department. I'd actually signed up, but for some reason I couldn't pass the psych test. But go figure out that one. But anyway, I was talking to these coppers, and they're like, dude, no, you don't understand. Because I was going to go into the IT department. He's like, no, you don't understand. When you're a rookie, you got to do everything we don't want to do because we had to do it. And he gave me explanations. Like one time when I was a rookie, we had to go up to this in the heat of summer, dude. No air conditioning. Like when it's like 100 degrees, 100% humidity in Chicago. We had to go up 5 sets of stairs. And there was a dude that had been rotting for several days. He was jellified, and they made me carry him. Me and these other rookies, they made us carry him out, and the body bag burst open, dropping down the stairs. And he was just covered in goo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
So-
want to think about it.
So I didn't become a police officer. But anyway, my point being on this, could you imagine that, dude? Okay, well, we got to wait till it's a little bit ripe and hot. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't take long to, what are you watching, dude? It's going to explode, y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is I don't understand the making him wait, but when you read the exact translation, you're wondering if he dies or thinks he dies. Wait, they're waiting until he knows he's dead? Okay. All right. I said I wasn't going to laugh. I'm trying, but that part, okay, I didn't write this. This is the translation, so you got to sit there and go, okay. Is the guy dead, or does he think he's still... Oh, wait, does the dead guy think he's still alive? Oh, that would be problematic. How would we know that the dead guy thinks he's still alive? All right, if we have to ask those questions, then we're in trouble. All right, and here we go. Next one. Come on. Here we go. Washing the body. Now, this is going to get difficult. We are up to... I'll read this one. Washing the dead. Washing the body. You notice it says on the left, washing the body, and on the right, it says washing the dead. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, can you back up? Can you back up to... Okay, never mind. All right, never mind. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Okay. All right. On the left, who should wash the body? On the right, look at this. Why? It just, okay. There's nothing there. G2.2. I'm going to read from the left, and you guys look at this right. Look how simple. One sentence on the right. Then he should wash, obligatory. The first is to wash it. Okay. On the left, when the deceased is male, the best suited to wash the body, anyone may wash it, but it is not permissible for a non-Muslim to wash the body of a Muslim. And non-Muslim relatives are as though non-existent in the following priority list. Oh, wait a minute. So, first responsibility will go to the father of the deceased. Then you have the father's father, the son, the son's son, the brother. Oh, it goes on. The father's brother, the son of the father's brother. Those named in the sequence given at, and they give a place. The men related to the deceased. The men not related to him. His wife. His unmarriageable female relatives. Now this list on the right. Let's check if this is right. The same. Let's make sure it's the same list. All right. It says he's a man. Okay, we got that part. Better to wash him. The father. Okay, got that. The grandfather. Got that. The son. The son's son. You see that? The brother. Then the uncle. The cousin. All right, we're seeing this. Then the men are relatives. Those men, and then foreigners. Then the wife. I have blanked out a piece here because it said something I'm hoping is inaccurate translation, but if it is, they don't want you to read it. Did you agree with that, Eric?
That they don't want you to read that, which you're going to
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope.
No, I'm not uncovering that.
I would.
I want.
So yeah, we looked at that before the show, and yeah, I would hope so that you would not want to.
They wouldn't want us to know this.
Get that one out there. No, it's pretty sick.
I'm going to say if you go to Reliance of the Traveler and you look at this section and you use the Google Translate app on your phone, which you could do right now if you wanted to, I'll even make it easier for you real quick. Use your Google Translate app on your phone, take a picture of it, use the camera, and the translation you'll get will open your eyes. And I'm going to say, make sure you're not drinking anything or eating anything that could be, yeah. It won't. I'm not saying it'll make you laugh. You'll be going, what? Yeah. Yes. Things that make you go, why? Yeah. So that one got me. I didn't expect that one. All right. We're back to Darcy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Skip. Are you okay?
Yeah. Can't read the first two words because
Okay.
that time. If you could
If
drop
the deceased is female,
Okay. The best suited to wash the body is one of her female relatives, meaning the women of her immediate family, such as her daughter or mother, other women, her husband, and then a member of her unmarriageable male relatives in the above order.
so
If
notice
the
this
deceased-
on the right. So you got this. Notice on the right, it is a woman. The woman should wash her. Okay. Men wash the men, women wash the women. Okay, that makes sense. Relatives and her close relatives, such as the daughter, the mother, the foreigners. I still find that part interesting, the foreigners. And the husband and male relatives, respectively. All right, go ahead, Darcy, the last part there.
If the deceased is a non-Muslim, then his non-Muslim relatives are better suited to wash him, as
On the
opposed
right. Oh, listen to this. On the right, if he's an infidel, then his relatives are infidels, more deserving. Basically, screw you. Too bad for you. That's kind of what I read here. Am I wrong? We're not going to wash you. You're too disgusting. Yeah, that's kind of what it says.
Well, no, it does provide a method for washing infidels. If the deceased is a non-Muslim, then his non-Muslim relatives are better suited to wash him.
They're better suited to wash him. It didn't say that, better suited. Apparently somebody will do it for you, but let's get the infidel to do it.
Right. Yeah. If you're going to wash the kafir, you get the kafirs to wash the kafir.
Yeah.
You don't want to make sure that you don't. What's the word I'm looking for?
And here is the most important question of the day. If there was a shortage of water, could they have done the washing with dust as they do in wudu? John, we're going to try and answer that question tonight. We are going to. Yeah, it's in the reading tonight. Oh, John, you're going to be saying, "Oh no, not again." The answer is in Shariah. Wow, I'm glad you asked that. All right, because that's what I asked when I started reading this section. All right, Rad, can you read G2.5, please?
It is recommended that the washer be trustworthy, so that he can be relied on to wash the deceased completely and so forth. Yeah, you don't want to skip over that. If he notices something good, it is sunnah to mention it. But if he notices something bad, it is unlawful to mention it, as this is slander.
All right, let's be exact here. It says on the bottom, the translation is, it's lamentable that the ungrateful person is trustworthy. In order to complete his misdeeds and other things, if he sees something good, then he mentions it, or he sees something against it, it's forbidden to mention him because it's stupid. Okay, you know what? I'll agree with that. Why would you mention something that could be upsetting? That is stupid. I agree with that 100%. Would you agree with that, Rad?
Yeah, I don't understand. Noticing something good on a dead body that you're washing.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What
the hell?
You're asking the questions I'm asking.
Yeah, what a wonderful gaping chest wound you have here, Habib.
Exactly.
Well, he wasn't exactly dead. He was. It looks like he was shot 3 times, not 2.
Yeah.
It looks like he was stabbed 150 times instead of just once. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. These people are just
I don't know what they would think would be a good thing. And again, if you're going to, if
You
it's
look so much better now that your head has been removed. I mean, what do you say to somebody that, I mean,
why would you do?
why,
I mean,
why would
this
you
is
mention
just.
anything to begin with?
Okay. Here's we have another problem. We have another problem we haven't fixed yet. We're gonna get into that in a minute. We've been talking about the bath, right? We haven't given any details about how to do the bath. It's coming up. All right. How to wash the body. Now, this is where it gets difficult. If you have volunteered or is your assignment to wash this body, Eric, you got the first assignment here.
All right.
Go for it.
G2.6. Let's see here where I'm at. G. Okay, how to wash the body. If no coast is available, you must go. And that's not what it says.
It is obligatory.
It is obligatory. It is obligatory for the washer to keep the nakedness of the deceased clothes while washing it.
Okay, wait.
I know, that's what I say.
Didn't you just take off the clothes?
How are you washing this guy down if he
Okay.
ain't naked?
You made him naked, then you put a sheet over him, basically, or a shroud over him or her, and now you're not allowed to look at what?
Okay, I don't do. Okay, it is sooner that no one be present except the washer and his assistant. It is preferable that the body be washed while clothed in an ankle-length shirt, into which the washer inserts his hands from the sleeve, if ample enough, while pouring water over the garment and washing the body under it. If the sleeve is not wide enough for this, he tears open the seam from the side under the arm. It is obligatory that the body be covered from navel to knees. Insects should be burned from the start of washing to the finish, as is sunnah. It is best to wash the body under a roof, and best that cold water be used, except when necessary, to heat it, such as to clean away filth that could not otherwise be removed, or when the weather is cold, since the deceased suffers from it just as a living person would.
I don't understand how you're going to wash. I mean, I read this in English. It says on the right, the dead person is covered during washing. This means the one who washes must cover his private parts. Notice it doesn't say you can't look at his naked body. All right. The dead, okay? We're talking about the private parts of the dead. It's recommended that no one but the person who is washing and his designated person be present. It's recommended that he wash this guy while this guy is wearing a shirt, the dead guy, okay? The wash put his, again, they don't really want you touching anything. But this shroud, this is where it got interesting for me. I was looking at hadiths. In one of the hadiths, I think it's Abu Bakr, has prepared a red shroud for himself. Okay, you want to know why? See, Abu Bakr is actually taking care of someone who's died. And he realizes, well, you can put a shroud on me, and at some point, excrement is going to come out. And that nice, beautiful shroud that you made will be soiled. So he made a red shroud for that time. What if you don't have something like that? I mean, this is just, you got to sit there and go, wait, I mean, this doesn't necessarily make as much sense as it sounds. But yeah, on the left, you can't look at the nakedness. That's the English. On the right, you can do that. So are they trying to confuse us who are English speakers? Why did they decide you couldn't look at the nakedness? Again, there's nothing there on the right that says you can't. I was just kind of like, whoa. Yeah. I'm guessing the reason for an assistant is person's weight. You may need help. Again, we're going back as far as doing rigor mortis. You may need help. That's not an unusual thing. I mean, depending on severity of rigor mortis, you may need help. So Those are all possibles. Any other comments, anyone?
I would never be a Muslim. I just, I'm sorry. It's just, there's no way. If and even
This process is complicated, isn't it?
right. I mean, I'm sure there are processes and procedures for morticians that they have to follow today, as far as the preparation of a body for burial. But that includes, of course, embalming and washing, and then sewing certain body parts together, and all of that. But when you have to codify this, put this into law, I mean, this is ridiculous.
I'm there with you. I was kind of surprised.
What's that now?
I'm there with you. I was kind of surprised. I mean, as many times as I've raced through this, and now I'm going back and asking questions. It just makes me think, what was so important that this had to be codified? And that's exactly it.
Well,
for those of you who aren't history teachers, we're talking about made it law. It's kind of weird.
Well, when you look at what Muhammad did to his dead, what was she, his aunt? You could probably see that they want to put some type of prohibitions or guidelines on what you can do with the body in and around people.
Yeah.
He did jump, because there's a sunnah, or not a sunnah, a hadith that talks about him jumping into the grave on top of the dead body. I don't know if it was his aunt or who exactly it was.
His aunt.
It was who? What was that, Darcy?
His aunt.
It was his aunt. Okay, so there you go. I mean, who number one, who would write such a thing or keep such a thing in writing if you are revering this man? And if you're going to keep this in the hadith literature, what culture, if this guy is supposed to be the pattern of conduct of all time for people to emulate, what culture is that permissible in? Is there any culture on this planet that says that that's okay, that's permissible, or that's encouraged?
And in this culture, you've already cleansed the person, you've bathed them, you have them in this prayer, in this clothing. I mean, they're in a sack, basically. And yeah, it just brings all sorts of questions. All right. I'm going to push this on.
I do have one more comment. How do they know for sure that the body is actually getting washed when all they're doing just pouring the water over? How do they know if the body is dirty or not when it's covered?
The only thing that makes sense to me is if we ignore everything that's on the left and we look at what it actually says in Arabic. It doesn't say you can't look at them. It doesn't say that their body, the backside of their body can't be on a slab of some sort, and that you can wash, the water can go down. There's some things that are just not stated here in the Arabic, but they are stated in the English. So this has me asking all sorts of questions. Why did they tell the English speakers one thing and the Arabic speakers something else? So the Arabic speakers could laugh at them? I don't know. But it does make me think. I mean, there's so much concern that this is why you'll see Arab people who are in followers of Islam, the Arabic speakers consider themselves a little bit higher up. And maybe because they don't get taken for things like this, I don't know. All right, we're going to go on. I'll read G2.7. It is unlawful to look at the nakedness of the deceased or touch it except with a cloth. Similar, since direct contact without there being something in between is not permissible. It is recommended not to look at or directly touch the other parts of the body save the cloth. Now, looked at this. This is almost word for word the same in Google Translate. So, okay. And it was the same for the next section. Almost exactly the same. Here's the part I find interesting. It is recommended. That I find interesting, that part. Okay, To force the waste from the stomach. Recommended. Okay. To clean the private parts of filth. Recommended. When one is certain anything exited from the parts. Again, it sounds like it can just recommended. To give the body ablution. It's recommended. It's not a requirement. That's the part that really gets me. All right. To make the intention of performing the ghusl and then to wash. So you only have to intend to do it. You don't have to finish. And then to wash the head, the beard. Again, recommended. All of this is recommended. It's not a requirement. It's only recommended. I mean, this is just kind of weird. I'm going to finish this one up. Taking care each time to press the hand on the stomach. Again, they're acknowledging here that there will be excrement, that there will be things that come after the body passes away. That's not a question, but it's only recommended. And I'm just kind of confused as to why they say that. They imply that ablution is required for this kind of thing. But the statement in Shariah is that it's just recommended. It's not required. So all this stuff. Now, again, have you heard of a timeline yet? Because I haven't seen a timeline. I haven't seen a need for a rush yet, especially after leaving that guy out for 3 or 4 days. Ugh. Yeah. That the place must be on an incline where you're washing. Okay, that makes sense. So the head's at the highest and the water flows down. Makes sense. Good requirement. I like that one. It says it's sunnah. Yes, that is in the hadith. I did see that. And that there be an incense burner present with incense in it. Great. Nobody wants to smell the dead. I agree with that's actually wisdom, I would say. So they did get something right. Al-Din, you're just not bright enough to understand reality. And I'm just going to bounce you out again and again and again. Because you don't seem to understand the reality. All right. Sorry. Okay. He wants to pick a fight. There's no fight to pick. We're just being honest, and there's nothing here to really pick a fight. He's afraid of reading things, so it's too bad for him. Sorry. And trying to get my mouse back. Sorry about this. Trying to find my reality here. Okay. Yeah. This is the problem when you have white screens. Can't really see where the mouse hides. Here we go. Okay. That there be incense burner, to put one's right hand on the shoulder of the deceased with the thumb on the nape of his neck so that the head doesn't roll, brace his back up. Again, this is just part of the cleaning process. There's nothing unusual here. That, again, it's important to notice that these are things that normally get done. And we don't think about that, but it's pretty much stuff that normally gets done. Darcy, would you read 2.10?
Sure. Okay, I'm assuming
The beginning is if the body is not clean.
If the body is not clean after 3 times, one washes it again, reaching an odd number of washings. If clean after an even number of washings, it is sooner to add another. If clean after an odd number, one does not add any. It is sooner to add a little camphor to the water, especially for the last washing. The obligatory minimum for this purificatory bath or ghusl is that water reach all external parts of the body, and it is obligatory to remove any filth if present.
Hold on. Didn't they say it was recommended before? Now it's obligatory? Yeah. So apparently what was recommended is now, Keep going. It makes you think.
Yeah, and the body should be dried with a cloth afterward. If anything leaves the body after washing, only the affected area need be washed. Well,
it is not follow that rule. You can't look at the naked body. that was in the English, which doesn't exist in the Arabic, we have a problem. But yeah, interesting.
It is not necessary to repeat the ablution or bath, even if the excretion is from the front or rear private parts. Ew, stinky.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen. That's part of the dying process. Now, you notice the star. That's the end of that section. All right, we're going to go on to the shrouding part. So, Houston, who was it? Asked that good question. If there was a shortage of water, we're going to get there, John. On the shortage of water, I still like that question. We will get there. All right. Believe it or not, it's in here. We'll see how much farther we get. All right, back to you. Let's see. I think it's Rad's turn. Rad, are you here? Or okay.
Yeah, I'm here. What do you need me to read?
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't find the
shrouding the body. Yeah.
Okay. G3-1.
Go. Yeah, all the way down.
Okay. Then the body is shrouded. Obligatory. 3-2. If the deceased is male, it is recommended that he be wrapped in 3 washed or not new white shrouds. So you're recycling your burial shrouds?
Well, that's an interesting point. So these burial shrouds. It looks like they're not necessarily new clothing. It looks like they are taken from some other form of cloth.
Okay. Without an ankle-length shirt or turban. Each shroud covering the whole body, unless the deceased was in a state of pilgrim sanctity in haram, in which case the head of the male or face of the female must be left uncovered. It is permissible to add, beneath the shrouds, an ankle-length shirt or turban. It is unlawful to use silk.
Okay, hold on a second.
Shroud a man.
So, do you guys know what it means, a pilgrim sanctity? This is the person who's gone on a pilgrimage, and they have put a scent on them. And it describes, when we get to the section on pilgrimages, they'll talk about putting the scent on them. So the dead body is already received some scenting. So they're saying you don't need to add more because it's probably going to be pretty strong on the body. That's the purpose for saying that. The body should be pretty much naked because it only has a sheet over it. So this is the other thing here. We're talking about what their clothing is. All right. And notice they're talking about in ankle-length shirt and turban, it's unlawful to use silk to shroud a man. Notice they said that part, to shroud a man. I find that interesting. Let's keep going, Rad.
All right. If the deceased is a woman, it is recommended that she be shrouded in a wraparound head cover and a shift, and that she be wrapped in 2 shrouds, like those used for men, in being white and washed, each of which covers her entire body. It is offensive for a woman's shroud to be made of silk or fabric dyed with a saffron or safflower. The obligatory minimum for the shrouding a man.
Oh, sorry. Come on.
If the deceased is a woman, it is recommended that she be dressed in a wraparound head cover and a shift. Okay, it is offensive for a woman's shroud to be made of silk or fabric dyed with saffron or safflower. The obligatory minimum for shrouding a man or a woman is to completely cover their nakedness. For a man, it is obligatory to cover the navel, the knees, and that which lies between them. And for a woman, her entire body. So she got to be burqified even in death, because you can't have gin seeing her. No. Okay.
Burqified is a good way to put it, but they pretty much do that for the males too. You're not going to really see anything. They pretty much cover all of you in a death shroud. If you've ever seen the Hollywood movies where you see somebody under a sheet and all of a sudden they come alive again, they pretty much cover all of you. And that's still, when you see that, that's what they're talking about, the death shrouds. I almost pulled one of those videos out and put it here so you could see it. And I just thought it would be disrespectful for those who have really died. But yeah. And I will come back and just pick on the troll that needs to come. He wants to be wanted. I'm happy that he came and that he was learning something, but it's he wants too much attention for himself, that he can't get it on his own channel, so he goes to other channels. So that says something.
Does
The
he have
obligatory. What?
Does he have his own channel?
I would be surprised if he does, because he spams so many people and insults so many people. I can't think of anyone that I know of that hasn't banned him. So I think after a certain point, you lose certain privileges. Maybe he doesn't have that anymore.
Well, I don't. What I mean is it? What's the? Even if he does that, I mean, what would it be? Is it like
ALAAD
lessons?
Dawa.
Well, I would think it would be for like dancing lessons for little ballerinas, or
Well, maybe it's in the Philippines, a little dancing station. I don't know, but
or just,
yeah, you got to sit there and watch. Maybe that's what it is: ballet class or jazz class. I don't know. All right, and the reason why we're hassling him is he's known as the Filipino dancer. All right, we are on to G3.4. Eric, can you read that? I'll read the beginning. If a person dies while in a state of pilgrimage. Again, I put this up here because the person who dies has already had a scent put on their body because they're a pilgrim.
State of pilgrim sanctity.
Oh, did Darcy? Okay, I think you.
Yeah.
Am I losing track of who's? Okay, go ahead, Darcy.
It is unlawful to scent the body, to dress it in a garment with any sewing on it or in it, if male, and to cover the head of a male's body or the face of a female.
Isn't that kind of weird? But the thing with the pilgrimage is they're not allowed to wear anything with sewing on it. Does anybody else think that would be difficult?
Yeah.
Basically, you have to find a seamless gown. I mean, it's basically like you wear the only thing I can equate to it is you're wearing a toga. It's the only thing I can come up with that's close to that. You're wearing a toga, you're wearing a sheet, and you wrapped it around yourself. That's what they're already wearing. Yeah. All right, G3.5.
Yeah. It is not recommended to prepare a shroud for oneself unless to ensure that it comes from a lawful source or from the effects of a virtuous person, meaning those who worship much, or religious scholars who apply their knowledge in their lives. In such a case, one may procure it for the blessing therein.
So you prepare a shroud for yourself, but don't prepare a shroud for yourself. We kind of heard you don't do this. You don't prepare it, but you do prepare it. But you don't, but you do. And this is Shariah. Not sure what the actual answer is, because we just read it a little ways back. You don't do it, but you do. I mean, you got to remember the prophet didn't know, and Aisha actually testifies in the hadith that there was 3 shrouds that he wore. So it's just kind of, you're sitting here like, what's going on? All right, let me just double check where I'm at in here. We might be stopping for the night because Red and I had something we wanted to talk about, and I just want to double check where I'm at. Sorry, guys. Just want to double check. Here we go. And let's see how far this is. Oh, we can finish this. All right. Yeah, we'll finish this and we'll go right into it. Okay. So G4.0. Can you read that, Eric, please?
Yeah, sure. The prayer over the dead. Then the deceased is prayed over. That's obligatory. The obligation is fulfilled if a single Muslim male who has reached the age of discrimination prays over the deceased. It is not fulfilled by a prayer of a woman alone when there is a male available. Though if there is no one besides women, they are obliged to pray, and their prayer fulfills the obligation. It is recommended to perform the funeral prayer in a group. It is offensive to pray it at a cemetery, though not in a mosque when it is preferable.
That one still gets me. You don't pray at the cemetery when you're putting the guy in the hole. You don't, again, it's recommended to perform the funeral prayer. It's offensive to pray it at the cemetery. It's not offensive at the mosque. Keep that in mind. It says it's not offensive at the mosque. I mean, is that really what they're saying? Here we go. And let's see. Rad, can you read this one, please? G4.3.
G4.3. The person best suited to lead the funeral prayer is an imam. Is the one who is best suited to wash the deceased, except for women who have no right to lead. The family member responsible for the deceased is given preference in leading the prayer, even over the sultan or imam of the mosque. The older of two persons, meaning more years in Islam, provided he is upright, takes precedence over the more learned in sacred law when they are at the same level of the two precedent orders, such as two sons or two brothers, since the purpose is to pray for the deceased. Then a supplication of an older person is more likely to be answered. Wow.
Okay, so the older guy has rights and he gets his prayer answered faster. That's what it says here. It'd be nice to know that if you're older, you get your prayers answered faster.
Wow. And the older is given precedence over any others. At that level, though they are of the same age, the one is chosen according to the older or the order used for the immature.
Imamate. That's the person who is the leader of the prayers. That's what they're talking about.
Okay. The responsible family member is given precedence in leading the funeral prayer even when the deceased has stipulated some other non-family member to be the imam.
So Shariah says, hey, it doesn't matter what you planned. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you planned. So you could actually ask a preacher to show up, and that won't work. It just won't work. Nope. That one kind of surprised me that you could make arrangements, and because they're not family members, they're not the oldest person, you get overruled even though you're dead and that's your wishes. That stuff makes you think, like, why is it so why don't you let the person have what he wanted? It's his last wishes, that's how I look at that. But all right. Eric, I'm going to ask you to read these two, and then I think we're done for the night. I'll double check that.
Okay, Division G, Section 4, Paragraph 4, placing the body for funeral prayer. It is recommended in the funeral prayer itself, where the deceased enshrouded is on a bier in front of the imam and lying on his right side, facing the direction of prayer, that the imam stand by the head of the deceased, if male, and that by the posterior, if female, because this better screens her from view. Okay. So he's got to look at her butt instead of her. I'm not.
Well, it's not exactly a thick fabric is my best way to look at this. And she's, yeah.
He's standing by the posterior of female, though. I mean, that's, he can't see.
He's seeing a lot more than he should see. That's my, yeah. Maybe he's there because he wants to look. I don't know.
Well, if that is on your mind.
Of a dead person.
Yeah, of a dead person. If that is on your mind of a dead person, and you're checking that out, what are you being? Why are you an imam to begin with? I mean, what kind of sick
Well,
let's-
it's most likely, I will say this, if it's a female, he's most likely, it's not usually a male that gives that speech. It's usually a female. That's what you're going to hear in here.
Okay.
So it's usually a female that gives that speech or that leads that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go do some wudu when this show's over.
Yeah.
If there are several, G4-5, if there are several bodies, it is best to perform a separate funeral prayer for each individual, though it is permissible to pray for all of them in a single prayer by putting the buyers directly in front of the imam, as in one after another, parallel with the rows of worshippers, each body facing the direction of prayer, the closest body to the imam. If the dead differ in gender, should be an adult male, then a boy, then a woman. Though, if all are male, all female, or all boys, then the best Muslim, then the next best, in piety, abstinence from the world of God-fearingness, and all praiseworthy traits, and so forth. If bodies are brought successively, the first one brought is placed closest to the imam, even if a prior arrival. Is this like a factory of dead? I mean, what is this? If bodies are brought successively, the first one brought is placed closest to the imam, even if a prior arrival is less virtuous or is a boy, though not if a female, whose body should be placed further from the imam than if a male brought subsequently.
Yeah.
Are we missing
Yes.
something? I mean, are people getting dead en masse in Muslim countries?
Well,
Gaza.
all I can think of is this is, remember their love of jihad. Or, we could just look at today. If you are a member of an organization like Hamas and you want to go kill yourself and you do something and they turn around and you get slaughtered, now I'm
section of 3, the males, the females, and then the boys.
Yeah.
So what, boys aren't males?
So you're asking a good question. The term that they're calling a boy is a boy who has no pubic hair. So he hasn't entered puberty yet. That's how they're differentiating. That's why they're keeping him different. And that, unfortunately, is learning those sick things about this faith structure. You learn those things. Oh, yeah.
So basically, females are pretty much garbage, even in death. They get the back door into heaven. I mean, they're placed furthest away from the imam.
The only way they get to heaven is if they're given one of the 70 houris.
Right.
That's the interesting thing. And that's why when Muslims they know that a Muslim is going to commit an act of jihad, they bring candy and everything to the place. And this is just the insanity of it. They will bring candy and they'll say, so remember me. That's the kind of thing, the message they're leaving. Remember me. And I didn't want to do this. All right. I'm going to play a video. Let me just pull it up. And I'm going to be sharing this. See if I got the right guy here.
I got to get running, Paul. I got basketball.
All right.
It's here in 30 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for joining us.
All
right.
Yeah,
all right. I'm going to play this video. And this imam is out of Pennsylvania. And this is a care imam. And this is, I got to put this in the right spot too. This imam out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, he gave this speech on January 12th. So this is not something new. It is something very recent. And come on, just move over there. Oh, joy of joys. Just trying to move something from right to left, left to right. Here we go. And now I can go back and share this. Here we go. Please let me know if the sound does not work. I'll try and make sure everything's working. Here we go. And this is the care imam from January 12th of this year. Oh,
We
before I
will
get
go
into
over
this,
and divide it to 66.
before I get into this, I want to tell you why I'm doing this. He's going to mention all the horrible things happening in Islamic countries. Remember the part that Eric just read? Keep that in mind.
Us now. So they were able to control, destroy, steal the resources and money and oil and animals and gold and mine and everything. And control the Muslim Ummah countries. And even worse, when they gathered in Basel, Switzerland in 1895, and Herzl gathered with his people, the Zionists, and said, we will take the Quran out of their heart and put alternatives, divide them, and we will appoint the worst of their people on top of them as leaders. See what happened. Then we lost Palestine just 53 years after that. And look what's going on in Palestine, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Sudan, in Libya, in Syria, in Kashmir, the Uyghur brothers, the Rohingya. You name it. I can't name all the Muslim countries that are facing catastrophes. In Somalia, in Libya. It is much easier job for the enemies of Allah, for the devil and the supporters of the devil to conquer us, destroy our countries, control us. اللهم انصرنا على أعدائنا أعدائك أعداء الدين فإنهم لا يعجزونك. اللهم كن لأهلنا وإخواننا المسلمين المستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم كن معهم في غزة أيدهم بنصرك. عليك بأعدائهم أعدائنا أعداء الدين ومن عاد الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم حرر الأقصى من أيدي المغتصبين الصهاينة المعتدين وارزقنا صلاة فيه قبل الممات.
He said all those. He couldn't even. He said 66 countries that were Islamic. There's 57. Yeah, he doesn't know how many Muslim countries there are. He couldn't list them all, but he did know that things were not going well in Islamic countries. So, are they getting themselves killed off? Are they killing each other? Well, killing each other is part of what goes on. And the biggest people to suffer under Sharia, under Islam, are Muslims. And this is one of the reasons we do this each week, is so Muslims can make a choice. Maybe we should leave this faith. It's not exactly good for us. Even the piece we've looked at, and I said we really didn't want to laugh because it's a serious nature we're talking about, the death industry. I mean, why did they decide you had to keep it secret? They want the English people to try and not look at nakedness when they're supposed to be cleaning it. Why was that important to not tell them, and why not translate that correctly? I can't understand the reasoning for that. If anybody else can, please let me know, besides trying to treat English people as stupid.
Yeah. I want to bring up one very important point. The last thing you said was to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that is built over the temple
Yes.
at Jerusalem.
Now, another thing about the Al-Aqsa Mosque that is important to understand. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is a place that they store weapons, and they've been caught doing that. They have been caught storing stones to throw at Jews. That's another thing they've been caught doing. They've been caught storing terrorists. Oh, yeah. These are all things that have been proven and documented highly, okay? You can find pictures of it anywhere you look.
I
These
want to
are all there.
that. You know, that you mentioned the stones. Well, that is a cycle for every year. It's a money-making scheme by the Muslims, for the Muslims, stoning the devil. They toss it at this one thing in like a big stone.
But that's supposed to be in Mecca where they would do that. So
right, but
the stones that they collect in that mosque, they throw at the Jews. That's what they do with that.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
money making because they collect the stones and they sell them over and over again. So
It's kind of nutty that this is, and you can't tell me that they. I mean, again, he's telling people. They're telling this is. There was so many imams that went out January 12th, and they got caught by memory for telling a lot of lies. This man, he was too scared, and actually, there's the other two imams that I could share. There's actually 4 altogether that I have. We're going to talk about it on Usama's show. If you want to join us 10 o'clock at night, there is just so much that they lie to their own people to create hatred. And this is one of the things that when I first look at this and I turned it to Usama, and we're going to cover this Saturday night. 3 of these all spoken on January 12th. Lying to their own people to incite hate against Jews, purposely deceiving their own people, changing their own scriptures, and then claiming Allah can't protect his own word. They didn't come out and say it that way. They're just saying the Jews changed the scriptures and the Christians changed the scriptures. But they didn't want you to read the Quran to find out the actual truth here. And this is the stuff I think we all need to be putting out the videos like this. I'm going to recommend, I always give a big push out for people supporting memory.org, Middle East Media Research Institute. You can find this video on the Middle East Media Research Institute.org. I'm suggesting everyone go there, view these videos, share them out. It's kind of mind-numbing that, like I said, we're going to cover 4. There's a 5th one. If we have time, we can't show that video. The 5th one is of a New York University professor who is engaging in a profane discussion that supports his love of terrorist groups like Hamas. And his support, he's calling anybody who says babies were killed by Hamas liars. Again, he's doing everything he can to do propaganda for Hamas. He got suspended instead of fired. What fired him? Why would you say these things? And it's highly, highly documented, saying that there were no babies killed, there were nobody, all these things that they're lying. One of these, again, I'll stay on this track because we could not, as a Christian organization, play any part of what he said because it was that profane, that laced with profanities. And this is a man sitting in a college classroom teaching young teens, early 20s, using that kind of a vocabulary at the New York University. How that has a place in an educational institution, I'm at a loss. I don't grasp that. I really don't. What is really going on there? Kind of stuck there. Now, I did want to get into one other thing tonight, and it's political. And I want to thank Rad because Rad brought it to my interest. And I am going to pull up something that Rad.
Don't thank me.
Oh.
Don't thank me. Thank Twitter, man. Okay. No, seriously.
Thank Twitter.
Hold on. Let me explain this.
DOJ, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when I first saw this come across my Twitter feed, I was like, "Oh, this has got to be a joke." I saw it on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and wokeness, which is usually pretty good. It's like a libs of TikTok, a spin-off of that. But and wokeness had it. I'm like, "Oh, come on, dude!" I actually did chime in. I said, "Oh, come on, man! This can't be true. You can't be posting this stuff because then it's going to be recopied, repasted, and everybody's going to make fun of us saying that we're promoting false information. Knock this off." And then I got a reply that said, "No, dude, it's real." And because I'm looking at, because Fox News, CNN, all the local news stations, they're not having anything. And I've noticed this as a pattern. I hear it first on Twitter, literally every time, and then like a half an hour later, it pops up on the regular news feeds. So I'm like, okay, so I go and search it. Sure enough, I come up with the Washington Post article, New York Times, USA Today. And I'm like, okay, but they're not showing the document. So then I found it on pbs.org where they actually showed the document. And I just did a search for remembering, and it came right up to that section. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And Twitter is now exploded, dude. The lefties have actually started a hashtag called Biden exonerated. They actually think this exonerates Joe Biden.
Oh boy. All right. So
yeah, go ahead.
Let's tell it. So the story is, please, this is where this is supposed to be. This is the way this is supposed to be the DOJ investigation of Biden's illegal possession. I'm saying illegal. He is not and never was the president of the United States until he took office, which means the possession that he had of these top secret files were not legal. As president of the United States, he could declassify things. As vice president, he has no ability to do that. Even a president taking things off site is a legal way for him to declassify. What do I mean by legal? There's no stated method to declassify anything, except for the president has the permission. He's the one who has the authority to do that. So his taking stuff off site can be viewed as declassification. Oh, and again, there's nothing documented about the process. All right, for the president's process. By everybody else, they have steps they have to follow. Now, if you all remember James Comey, who came out to protect Hillary Clinton, and you'll remember how he lied. He told the people she didn't know any better. She didn't have intent. Bad news for James Comey. He lied about the law. The law about these documents, there's nothing in there about intent. I read this over and over again to double check because I was reading, people were saying there's nothing in there about intent. I went back and I looked. So let's talk about why they say Joe Biden didn't have any intent. But again, there's nothing. The law states if you do these things, there's nothing about intent. If you did them, you violated the law. The FBI, the special investigators, are saying Joe didn't have any intent. Do you want to know why he doesn't have any intent?
Right. Yeah. This is the funny part.
I'm going to share this. So don't take our word for it. Do you want to go farther back, Red, or do you want me to start about here? I was just kind of mind numbed when I did this.
No, that's good. I haven't read the whole thing, so yeah.
Like I haven't either.
Just dropped it. Go ahead.
This is all right. Listen to this. Mr. Biden wrote his 2017 memoirs with the help of a ghostwriter. In a recorded conversation with his ghostwriter in 2017, about a month after he left office, Mr. Biden said, while referencing his 2009 Thanksgiving memo, that he had just found all the classified stuff downstairs. Ooh. At a time, he was renting a home in Virginia where he met his ghostwriter to work on his second memoir. Downstairs from where they met was Mr. Biden's office where he stored his papers. He moved out of Virginia home in 2019, consolidating his belongings in Delaware, where FBI agents later found marked classified documents about the Afghanistan troop surge in his garage. Evidence supports the inference that when Biden said in 2017 that he had just found all the classified stuff downstairs in Virginia, he was referring to the same marked classified documents about Afghanistan that the FBI agents found in 2022. So again, he is vice president. He did not legally have the right to take these stuff.
So yeah, he knew. He knew they were
Yeah.
classified documents.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say people don't work on things from home. I'm saying that he didn't have a right to store things where he was storing them. I think there's
No,
probably some.
This stuff cannot be taken out of the White House, and it can only be left in a skiff. Okay, in a secure area. Yeah, where you can't. Yeah, only the president can take it out in his office, in his presence, and can take it up to the personal residence. Okay, that's only the president. But anyone else, they have to look at it in a special skiff, a special classified area where nobody has access to except these special people, and they can't take anything in with them. No pens, no papers, no nothing. Okay, that's why when that's why it was a big deal when Biden actually was one of the ones they outed that CIA officer because he had to go into the skiff multiple times because he kept probably forgetting the dude's name. Seriously, he probably kept forgetting the CIA officer's name that they outed. Okay, and that's why he had to keep going into the skiff to reference those same documents. That probably explains that. That's why he had to go in there multiple times to get the name. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. This gets worse, guys. Evidence supports the inference that when Mr. Biden said in 2017 he just found all the classified stuff downstairs, he's referring to that same marked classified documents about Afghanistan the FBI agents found in 2022 in his Delaware garage. Nevertheless, we do not believe the evidence is sufficient, as jurors would likely find reasonable doubt for one or more of several reasons, both when he served as vice president and when the Afghanistan documents were found in Mr. Biden's Delaware garage in 2022. His possession of them in his Delaware home was not a basis for prosecution because as vice president and president, he had the authority to keep classified documents in his home.
That's BS. That's BS.
Sorry, not truthful at all. Wait a minute. Yeah. He didn't have these documents when he was president.
Right.
He had them from when he was VP, and he didn't have. No, see, that's misinformation.
He wasn't VP. Yeah, he wasn't VP when he had them in his possession.
Yes. Yeah. And then, it's worse. As VP, he doesn't have. I mean, This is the part I'm not sure about. As VP, if he took them as VP, he was no longer VP. He couldn't legally have them on his person. I mean, if he was allowed that, I don't see that. I mean, he's had them for a good number of years. And it says he had authority to keep classified documents in his home. The best case for charges would rely on Mr. Biden's possession of the Afghanistan documents to his Virginia home on February 2017 when he was a private citizen. Wait a minute. He's not. He's not vice president. He's not president. Okay. He was told, when he told his ghostwriter, he had just found classified material. Oh, he's kind of doesn't know he has it? Several defenses are likely to create reasonable doubt as to such charges. For example, Mr. Biden could have found, it's not President Biden, it's Mr. Biden, could have found the classified Afghanistan documents at his Virginia home in 2017 and then forgotten about them soon after. This could convince some reasonable jurors that he did not retain them willfully. Again, the law has nothing in there about intent. When Biden told his ghostwriter about finding all the classified stuff downstairs, his tone was matter of fact. For a person who had viewed classified documents nearly every day for 8 years as vice president, including regularly in his home. And you hear this again. Notice they keep mentioning regularly in his home. Finding classified documents at home less than a month after leaving office could have been an unremarkable and forgettable event. Unremarkable. You have something.
But he said that he knew them.
There.
Yeah, but he said that he knew them, and he took them with him to his Delaware home, where he stored them next to his Corvette in a garage in boxes.
Yeah, this is what we're getting into. The classified Afghanistan documents didn't come up again in Biden's dozens of hours recorded conversations with a ghostwriter in his book. And the place where the Afghanistan documents were eventually found in Mr. Biden's Delaware garage in a badly damaged box surrounded by household stuff suggests the documents might have been forgotten. In addition, Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during his recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017 and
Wow,
in
so
his
he was
interview.
in mental decline in 2017.
Yes.
Wow.
And in his interview with our office in 2023. And his cooperation with our investigation. So they went back. This is the point that people need to pay attention to. They went back and they got the recorded interviews from the ghostwriter to verify this man had dementia in 2017. So the FBI, or the OIG in charge of this case, the special investigator, got these audio tapes, at the very least audio tapes, that reveal Biden has dementia or diminished capacity when he ran for office against President Trump. And that's why he ran from his basement. Keep thinking about that. That's what this is saying. And his cooperation with our investigation included by reporting to the government that the Afghanistan documents were in his Delaware garage, will likely convince some jurors that he made an innocent mistake rather than acting willfully, that is, with intent to break the law, as the statute requires. It does not require that. That is a lie.
Wait, stop right there. Well, let's say it does. Then how are they going to convict Trump on the same thing?
Well,
how are they going to convict him?
Trump was president when you hold that office, your title never goes away as president.
Right. But if they're saying that the standard is that these documents, because they do have that one recording where Trump brags to the reporter saying, this is all classified, right? These are classified documents. I could have declassified them. Isn't that right? And he's talking to one of his staffers. I could have declassified them then. And she's like, yeah, you could have. It's like, but I can't now, right? They're classified. And they acknowledge, yes, those are classified documents. So he's like, but look right here in these classified documents that I can't, no. So he was an idiot. Okay. So
I think he was baiting them. I think this is all baiting. Because legally, if he takes them off site, that's a form of declassification.
Well,
and that's an actual discussion.
Either way, the point is, how are you going to prove now that Trump, intentionally meant to break the law?
Oh, it gets better. What I mean? You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Trump didn't pack any of those documents.
Well, that's another thing too. Yeah.
None of those documents were packed by Trump. None of those documents were unpacked by Trump. They were packed and unpacked and reviewed repeatedly by, the National Archives. And the National Archives asked for some stuff. He returned it to them. They asked him to fix things, and how things should be secured. He did that. So they said everything was secure. They had no problems. All of a sudden, the FBI gets involved, and they want to make a circus. But again, his moving things off site is a form of declassification, which has been an accepted form for decades. Let's keep going. Biden's memory, I like this part, significantly limited. This is the guy in charge as president of the United States. Another viable defense is that Mr. Biden might not have retained the classified documents in his Virginia home at all. They could have been stored by mistake without his knowledge at his Delaware home since the time he was vice president, as were other classified documents recovered during our investigation. Notice they're not telling us what they are. This would rebut charges that he willfully retained the documents in Virginia. Given Mr. Biden's limited precision and recall during the interviews with his ghostwriter and with our office, jurors may hesitate to place too much evidentiary weight on a single 8-word utterance to his ghostwriter about finding classified document in Virginia. 8 words. They're saying he could string 8 words together. Not much more.
Well, another thing is, what would the ghostwriter say under cross-examination? You know what I mean? Did he show, but either way, listen to this. I mean, what they are saying is that this man is too mentally incompetent to stand trial.
Yes, it's exactly what they're saying.
But he's mentally incompetent to stand to be president. Even I'm looking at the Twitter feed. The Twitter stuff going on. Well, actually, he's delivering remarks right now. We should tune into that maybe. But there's so much going on here. President of the United States is training. Here we go. Because what's his name? Ted Cruz. Truly astonishing. The U.S. Department of Justice formally laying out evidence that the sitting president of the United States is not competent to stand trial. He cannot remember when he was vice president, but this man has the nuclear codes.
Yeah, that's coming up in here. Okay, in addition to the shortage of evidence, in addition to the shortage of evidence, there are other innocent explanations for documents. The part where he doesn't know what year it was, that just kind of blew my mind, and that he didn't know when here we go. We also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with poor memory. Based on our direct interactions with and observations of him, he is someone for whom many jurors will want to identify reasonable doubt. It would be difficult to convince a jury that they should convict him, by then a former president well into his 80s, of a serious felony that would require a mental state of willfulness.
Wait, stop right there.
They're not going to prosecute till after he leaves office. Did you catch that?
Right. Well, that's what I was just going to go. What do you mean by then a former president? Okay. Are they saying he has no chance of winning 2024? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. They're already kind of writing this off like, yeah, dude, this is your death now. This is the writing on the wall. You need to leave, and you need to leave now. I swear, everyone in this administration, everyone, including his family, his corrupt, vile wife and her fishnet stockings, his son, his corrupt crackhead son, every one of them needs to be prosecuted for elder abuse. This is elder abuse. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what I've been saying for a long time. They all need to, the entire West Wing needs to be charged with elder abuse and put in jail today. That's exactly what should happen. There's a part in here. We conclude the evidence is not sufficient to convict. We decline to recommend prosecution. Why? Because they said the man's in his 80s and he can't do more than 8 words together without assistance. Without assistance. I mean, this is a 388-page document, and I've only read a small piece of this to you. I put the link in the chat room, so everyone should go and download this before they hide it. Because I'll tell you this, I went to the site that Rad shared with me, where this document, where the link to this document was. I clicked on it. I got there, and then all of a sudden, I told Rad, look, I clicked on it, then it disappeared. And I had to go back to the original link because I couldn't get it to refresh on my computer.
Oh, really?
No, it wouldn't refresh. I mean,
all right, well, I got to download it.
It took me to another site.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to try and memory hold this. But here's the funny thing, dude. CNN, go to CNN's site, dude. Here, let me pull it up here. Well, there's MSNBC is still trying to run cover. MSNBC, their little page 2 or column 2 or B column on Biden. Of course, the A column or column 1 is all about Trump. But the middle column here, Biden retained disclosed classified documents, but will not be charged, special counsel says. They're kind of burying the lead on this one. They're kind of leaving out some key information here. But here's what CNN says. Takeaways from scathing report. Takeaways from scathing report into Biden's handling of classified documents. The special counsel didn't charge Biden with crimes, but did paint a picture of a forgetful president who failed to protect highly sensitive info. So it looks like the only one who's still defending him for now is MSNBC. But even that, I'm sure, no, they're losing it.
I believe what they're going to. I believe what they're going to do is they're going to remove him from office before the election, and that is in that respect they will. I can't see them making Kamala president. I just can't.
Dude, she is second in line. She's the VP. I mean,
Oh, okay, but who's third?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the Republican. That's the
Yes.
honestly, if I was a diabolical Republican who was Speaker of the House, yeah, yeah. Well, we can't say what I would do, but anyway, no, seriously. How are they going to get rid of Camel Toe? Oh, sorry. How are they going to get rid of Kamala? I mean, no, they
Same
can't.
reason they get rid of same reason they get rid of Biden.
They're going to say she's incompetent too.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I actually at least Biden has old age and senility for his stuff, but how are they going to? I don't see that happening. See, this is the scary
I have
part.
a possibility to say it, but I don't want to be too crass.
Well,
if you know her history, there are certain reasons to think that some things may have made her that silly fool that and given her reasons.
Yeah, dude, I swear to you, I watch her and she's stoned half out of her gourd most of the time. She's smoking.
She could be the one that they're thinking is the one is the reason why the cocaine was there.
Yeah, that could be another. Yeah, okay, so they can get rid of that on drug abuse. That would be interesting, but then they're going to make now. Democrats won't go for that. They're not going to make a Republican. Oh, this is scary.
I don't think they get a choice. I think this is the part where if the DOJ did its job, if the Secret Service had been doing its job, it would have done two things. Number one, it would insist that the medical professional who said Joe is the same as he was so many years ago got fired. Number one. Okay. Because he needed to tell everybody, yes, Joe has dementia. And he didn't do that. He violated America's trust. Okay, fire him, get him ready for trial, because that was a treasonous action against the people of the United States. Not necessarily against the government, but against the people of the United States. Now, you take Joe, you get him evaluated at the local hospital for his mental health needs. Then you arrest his wife. You arrest the people in the West Wing who have no doubt that this man is not in charge. Oh, and then it gets better. This is where the Democrats are going to go nuts. See, when they start arresting the people in the West Wing, they're going to have to ask who's really making the choices here. They're going to be interviewing everybody. Who tells you what to do? Well, there's a guy that lives down the street. His first name starts with O. I mean, his last name starts with O. I think someone's going to vacate the country if they follow this procedure. Something to think about. If you hear of somebody leaving the country abruptly, you'll know why.
That could be. No, I think the more realistic situation is that, well, one of two things is going to happen. Republicans actually do not want to remove Biden. They actually want him to run. They want him to be the candidate. So they'll have him in
Kamala. They could win against Kamala easy too.
Or Kamala either. Kamala's not going to run. She lucked into it to become. No, the reason why Kamala Harris is vice president is because that is impeachment proof for Joe Biden.
That's exactly why Joe Biden was picked. Yes.
Exactly. Impeachment proof. Okay. That's why Nixon picked Spiro Agnew. And that was a problem with Trump actually picking, what's his name? Pence. Okay. Because
I don't
Pence
think
was
they,
impeachment proof.
Yeah. Pence, nobody wanted Pence. I wouldn't say impeachment proof there is.
Well, no, Pence was
so unfortunately he hired what I would call a poison pen, is what I would call him.
Well, yeah, but he was the moderate. He was the one that would back the moderate backbone of the party. Okay. Yeah. Believe it or not, the backbone of the party is the moderate. They are the ones that are somewhat still in control. Okay, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so here's my thing. Here's how I think this is going to play out. Nobody wants Kamala to be president. Not even the Democrats. That would be disastrous because that would mean World War III. Because the Chinese would look at it like, this crazy? No, we're gonna take Taiwan. We're gonna go on a rampage. Putin would be like, really? No, this ain't happening. I already know. She's like, just stop. Just please don't do it. Can't we all get along? To believe and be unburdened by the past, but not to be burdened by the past, but to look at things as if they are, but never were be. You know what I mean? If you put bongos to it, it kind of makes sense. Okay.
Anyway. Houston, I have a problem with this statement. but Democrats will determine if Biden's allowed to pardon himself. However, if he's been declared mentally incompetent, that doesn't work.
Bingo. That's the thing. So I want to get to that. So here's the thing. So I don't. So nobody wants to. I mean, he should be vacated, definitely. But nobody wants that. Okay. The Democrats are doing this because they don't want him to run. They want him to step down before it's too late. But who do they have waiting in the wings? They got Gruesome Newsom, okay, who destroyed California, single-handedly destroyed California. Okay, there is no way he could possibly win, especially with this last interview where he said Joe Biden is on top of it. Man, when I see the mental acuity, when I see the moves that he's making, I can't keep up with him. He's just such a genius. And then we play this stuff.
I think it's almost word for word what he said.
Exactly. No, that's what he did. And I'm old school. That's loyalty. That's how I am. So he's out. Okay. You got Michelle Obama, where they were floating there, but Michelle has actually said, "Are you crazy? I don't know. I don't want no part of this." So she's kind of out. Okay. Can't bring Barack in. I mean, unless
That'd
they
be illegal
sucker
because
Michelle.
he would be serving a third term like he already did.
Right.
Yes.
Unless they sucker Michelle in, I mean, I could see that happening as a last minute.
Well, they haven't confirmed whether it's Michael or Michelle that would be running, but
I'm sorry,
yeah,
Big Mike. You know, I never used to
Mike,
believe
yeah.
that. Yeah, I never used to
oh,
believe
I
that.
watched.
But now I
You know
do.
what got me was the. Believe it or not, I was watching. What's her name? The show she was on where Too Much was showing.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those, and it's not
yeah,
AI.
like
This is even
my
before
god,
the AI stuff. Yeah.
yo,
This
way
is
before
yeah.
it. Oh my gosh, I was
Dude, look at
watching
this
that
whole.
show on the TV. What's her name? I can't think of her
Dude,
name now.
look at her shoulders. Look at the way she carries. Look at the way she stands.
Well, that was it's
She
not
stands
a,
like a
it's
dude.
and I think Joan Rivers was 100% right, and that's why she disappeared.
And
as
she
well.
died a few weeks later.
She died like she died like the next week, I think. Yeah, she was gone really quick.
But anyway, so I don't. So I just don't see that. So here's what I see. What's going to happen though? Okay, I see they're going to keep him into the primaries, and then they'll choose someone, but who? I don't know who. Michelle is the top pick from everyone, but I don't even see that working. I don't see that happening.
No.
Gruesome Newsom, it can't be because he's already embarrassed himself.
You know who's trying to claim that already, right?
Gay Pete? Who?
Hillary is trying to claim that headstone again.
Oh, that could. Oh, yeah, they could bring her back.
She's already attempting to do that, so she's out there making a stand now.
And that would be interesting. 2016 Hillary and Trump rematch. Ding.
Yeah,
ding.
I think that's exactly what she's intending. So I think she's got something in the works.
But would that play with the Democratic base?
No.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because here's the thing that people are forgetting who would say that would work. Right now, even the people who knew Hillary before didn't vote for her before. So they don't like her. They didn't like her. If she actually would share her medical history of Parkinson's, which I believe she has from everything I've seen that's documented, and they'd want to know if she's on medicine now that made her susceptible to suggestions like she was when she ran for office. Don't believe she's on the same meds, but now the question is, which one is one of her body doubles, which she's had? I mean, it's been shown on TV. So yeah. We
gotta get rid of these old farts. I am sorry. We need some young blood in there. Like I said, dude, DeSantis I think was the best pick. But anyway, he dropped out, so he wimped out on me. But Vivek, I actually like Vivek too. Vivek, I think, should definitely be in administration. He would be killer, dude.
I like Jordan. I would have liked to have seen him go in, but he's not interested. I think Jordan's the kind of guy.
He's got too much baggage. Are you talking about Jim Jordan?
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's got too much baggage with that whole wrestling sex scandal thing.
Oh, that I'm not aware of. Yeah.
Oh no, so No, he was a wrestling coach at some high school. Actually, it was a prestigious high school. They had a prestigious wrestling team, and I guess, or maybe it was a college. But I guess one of the wrestling coaches, the head coach, was sexually molesting the players or the students,
Oh,
and he knew about it. No, it is documented that he knew about it and said nothing. He did not report, and so he's part of kind of a cover up. So no, that is actually documented. But so yeah, he's got some serious baggage. But either way, it's going to be interesting, and it's very scary.
Could be Mike Johnson then. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: if they put Kamala in office and they declare her incompetent, Mike Johnson becomes the president.
Well, no, she just picks her own vice president.
No. If she hasn't picked her vice president, that's what I'm getting at. If she has yet to pick her vice president, she gets declared incompetent.
See, they would have to get rid of her first.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't see them doing. But no. Well, so here's another thing. I want Joe Biden to remain, especially now with this, because I guarantee you, he's going to pardon Hunter. He's going to pardon himself. He's going to pardon everyone.
Well, another question is, the only thing if the FBI or whoever, the DOJ, wrote this report saying he can only string 8 words together, that's what the FBI has implied. If he's only able to string 8 words together, that's their statement, not mine.
Exactly.
Oh, right. And
that his pardons will not work. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, you cannot clear yourself. You can't do anything at this point. He needs to be immediately removed, regardless.
He should be.
He should be, especially from what this report says. It is so damning, I will say that, of this man's mental incapacity to perform at his elected position, that he must be removed. And then the person who's in charge of his medical health must be put on trial and have his license revoked.
To the whole family, everyone in that administration that ignored it. I cannot wait to see Jean Claire, whatever, the favorite mophead, lesbian, bisexual, woman of color, historical figure, whatever her name is, the press secretary. I can't wait. Oh, dude, I hope Peter Ducey.
She's gonna be gone.
She's gonna be like, I'm not taking those questions. Goodbye. You know what I mean?
That would be fun to have Peter Ducey ask questions about that. Have you spoken to Mr. Biden? Does he actually string more than 8 words together?
Well, no, Peter Ducey actually brought this up in the last press conference, actually last 2. So I don't think she probably won't call on him, but he actually brought this up. He's like, come on, how are you going to convince all these Americans that Joe Biden is mentally competent when he talks to dead people? Because just recently
he just did it.
Yeah. No, this was just the other day.
Yes.
Literally, And she's like, you know what? You all seen him. You all see how the president is. He's on top of it. He's, blah, blah, blah. We can't keep up with him. He's great. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And Peter's like, no, really? How are you going to? Yeah. And she just cut him off. And then he asked something else again. Yeah. And then the next day he asked kind of a similar question. She's like, that's it. Have a good day, everybody. And she just left. Or when someone else asked the same question, it's like, that's it. I'm not answering that. Have a good day, everybody.
Oh, boy. If Biden had dementia in 2017 was a fast decline because you can see in 2012 VP debates. All right. I'm going to put this up. So I'm going to show, I don't think, I've only shown this on Usama's show. Let me just pull this up. I put something together called The Many Faces of Biden. And
you showed it on Cross and Crescent.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I showed it there, but this is just, to me, it's just kind of mind-numbing. Sometimes you just have to conspiracies are conspiracies because nobody, when you check them out and they become factual, it doesn't change the word conspiracy. All right. You can have a real conspiracy. It can exist. And that's the thing that should be mind-numbing. Here we go. This is the part when I started looking at things, I started asking, has anybody done a comparison picture? Okay, this is Joe Biden. vice president in 2014. You see that picture? All right, so I blew up his picture a little bit. Yeah, let me get the mouse. All right. That's him. All right, wait a minute. Take a look. That's him, 2014. Here's his side view. All right. 24, that's 2012. All right. Notice the age in 2 years. All right. Now, 2020. Does that look like the same guy?
No.
It doesn't
I mean,
even,
if you
the
look-
nose
no.
doesn't even look the same. I mean, I don't think the ears look the same.
The chin.
He has a different earlobe. His earlobe is different. I mean, chin is different. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's physically. Now, it's going to get better. You ready? These are, look at, I got this from the New Yorker magazine. All right, NewYorker.com, 2014 is on the right. Okay, and the October 2020. That's that's a primary debate. How about this one? 2020. Are these even the same people? I don't. That's Joe Biden there.
Yeah, my question is, which one is the real Biden?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. How many replacements does he have?
Breaking news. Breaking news. Hold on. So first of all, Biden's going to address the nation at 7:45. But here's what
Today?
Fox News is reporting tonight. Biden White House blames Israel war for forgetting basic facts during special counsel interview. We do not believe that the report treatment of President Biden's memory is accurate or appropriate, Biden's lawyer says. President Biden said on Thursday that he struggled to remember certain key dates during his interview with special counsel Robert Hur as a result of the ongoing Israeli-Hamas war. Okay, well, if that's the case, you shouldn't be president. If one thing is distracting you from remembering key dates, then you should not be president. You know what I mean? No. Okay, so he's digging his own grave here. Biden told reporters he was handling an international crisis at the time of the interviews with federal investigators shortly after her release the 300-word page. I sought no delays. In fact, I was so determined to get the special that they needed. Anyway. Yeah.
By the way, take a look at these pictures. I put the links up where you could actually find them. So I mean, if you didn't believe me, I mean, I could click on these. This is the one that kills me the most. So look, if I click on this, and see if I can go right there. All right, I'll pull that over. I mean, again, I took these off of news sites. I'll show you. So I'm not making this up. This is the stuff that really, I mean, I just started asking. There he is. I didn't make this up. I mean, yeah. I wish this stuff wasn't true. I mean, I only started looking at this stuff because I just started asking questions. I'd like to see that. There he is in 2021.
Okay, but no, right there. Look, stop right there. Look at those eyes. I bring up those eyes and I'm going to tell you, okay? All right. I remember, okay, watching the first debate with him and Donald Trump. That was a complete disaster on both ends. Okay, at a local Republican fundraiser. Okay, at this sports bar. Okay, for local Republicans. So they had it on really high def TVs, and every like, what is up with? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we just lost you for a second. You're back.
Okay. But anyway, everybody, I remember multiple people commented and said, "What is up with the dude's eyes? They were extremely wide and extremely a deep, piercing blue. They didn't look gray like this. I mean, they were bright, almost glowing blue. Okay, and everybody was like, "This dude, what is he on drugs?" You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. I'm just saying, dude, and it's been rumored. I mean, high level rumors. They pumped this dude full of amphetamines. Okay, just to get him out there to say something. Okay?
Yeah, and that's.
But you can only do that for so long.
Yeah. So look at this is 2021. They don't have the same nasal structure. They don't have the same chins. They don't have the same earlobes.
No, this could be no. Okay, well,
I mean, he could
let's
have a
be double
shaved eyebrows. I could say that maybe, but the eyes are so different.
facelift. It could have cosmetic surgery, facelift.
Again, this is where I
Um,
say I am not a. I'm not a. The people who do the
oh,
who do facial recognition software. I think that's what needs to be run on stuff like this. I just don't have that knowledge, but it makes me question
oh,
what's going on.
yeah,
All
you'd
right,
have to put that through a
how
really
about
good
that
one.
guy?
Yeah, no, these are different people.
I mean, how many doubles? How many people go around with his voice? I mean, I have lots of questions. I mean, there was one where he had a microphone, one of the debates where he had a microphone telling him what to say and do. And I'm not sure if the microphone was actually a speaker. I mean, I'm now asking that question because these are
Well,
all different people.
here's another thing. Okay, if you notice when you listen to his speeches, they alter his voice on the microphone. They put an echo to it. They put a reverb to it. Okay, and no, so they make it more boisterous, more but then he gets all angry, and they have to readjust it because all of a sudden they'll get reverb and they'll get real bad echo when he starts shouting. No, seriously, you can listen to it.
Yeah,
And well,
yeah.
on headphones,
That's a
you've noticed
sign
that, yeah.
of it's a sign of dementia when he does that, and that's.
Yeah.
And this Vic, but believe it or not, this picture is claimed on the left is claimed to be one of his most recent pictures. I honestly believe that's from his VP days
That's what it looks like, right?
because that's the first picture I've seen that actually looks like the 2014, and
Yeah.
he doesn't look like he's aged at all.
I mean, okay, he could have had a facelift, a nose job, whatever. I don't know. He could have got the earlobes trimmed, whatever. I don't know, but no, you're right. I mean, it's not. Yeah, okay, I'm following. I mean, dude, like I said, I could go either way, but I could see
Mhm.
it definitely being body doubles.
No,
That
I mean,
definitely.
that guy is definitely not, and this guy is definitely not.
So, I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of it.
I only started doing this because I started asking the question, and then I started saying, okay, why can't I look for it myself? So I looked for his VP pictures and pictures that probably wouldn't have been if this is actually happening. I mean, these are things anybody can do now just because the internet's available. So I just have to ask. Yeah,
I would not be shocked. I mean, why not? I mean, others do it. We know Reagan had a body double. Saddam Hussein definitely had body doubles. Churchill had a body double. Churchill had a voice double. Did you know that? A lot
yeah.
of the
So
speeches that
John, yeah, I know they all had them. John, I think
oh,
you could be right. I'm not. I don't. The one that really throws me is that third guy that looks. I'll put him back up. This is the one that really throws me, and I just don't see this connection as possible. That's the one that really throws me. I don't see that one as
yeah,
possible.
see, that's a
The other
detached
ones I can.
earlobe. The one on the left,
Yeah,
the one on the right is not a detached earlobe. These are two different earlobes. Okay.
yeah. So these are the one. This is the one that really throws me, and the fact that somebody could have a body double at a presidential debate is extremely problematic.
Well, you know that Churchill actually had a voice double, right? Most of the recordings that you hear of Churchill, especially his famous speeches, those are a voice actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, a lot of it is famous because it was real hard to get from. No, this is the speech he would give at Parliament is the same speech that you would hear replayed on the radio. The problem was a lot of times he couldn't get to the BBC radio booth to
Oh,
record it. Yeah, so they just had a voice actor do it. Okay, so like it's
interesting.
famous that you hear. Okay, where he says, "We will fight them to the end. We'll never surrender." That's a voice actor. Oh,
Yeah, and
but it sounds just like him.
Houston makes a good point. Body double to cover up for Fetterman. I've questioned that, and here's the thing
I'm
that
liking
would
Fetterman
actually
too.
back this. So
I'm loving Fetterman.
the
Go
new
ahead, sorry.
Fetterman, whoever he may be, Fetterman or not, because I'm in the same boat with you, Houston. I I have questions. I don't have any answers. And the same thing with me showing Biden's pictures. I'm not a facial recognition person. I wish I knew someone who had that software and would actually be willing to certify
Okay,
this is the same person or not the same person. A person who had the ability and the talent to actually make a statement. I
we can
wish we
get
had somebody
access.
doing that.
We can get access to the premier facial recognition software if a certain person we know would go and get his private investigator license, like I've been telling him to. No, we can get access. No, it is no. You can, if you're a private investigator, if you're law enforcement, you get access to this. No, it is the premier facial recognition software. It is scary stuff. But anyway, Fetterman. Okay, here's my theory.
They don't look the same. They don't look the same at all.
Well,
I don't
well,
physically. I mean, he could be coming back. I mean, I don't have any answers for that one. I've worked with people coming back from things, and I've seen miracles. So I actually have no clue on what to say about Fetterman.
well, here's my theory on Fetterman. It's a combination of 2 or 3 things. One, he's recovering from the stroke, so when you recover from the stroke, your brain rewires around the decayed material.
It's exactly
So
that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it fixed him. It made him normal. Okay, that's one. That's point number one.
It's possible.
Point number 2. They actually, since they started making him wearing adult men's clothing when he goes to work, because the clothes do make the man.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
So he started to have to dress like an adult now. So that did a thing. Also, remember, he was isolated from his crazy crazy wife for several months while he was being treated for depression. They didn't give her access. Remember, it was like 2 or 3 months, right? Boom, and that's actually when the change started happening. Now, here's the funny thing about that. Wifey and him are in trouble, although they did show up together, okay, to be photographed together at some White House gala event just recently. But her Facebook, her Instagram, all the social media stuff has been taken down. Okay, and actually, one of them actually announced this rumor that was announced that she is now marking herself as single. In other words, she's leaving him. Now, think about this for a second. Let's go with your theory of a body double replacement. Okay, his wife is a lefty nutcase. She would not be any part of that. So all of a sudden, if they replace lefty nutcase John Fetterman with a conservative, normal person, John Fetterman,
she'd out them. She would out him.
Yeah, she would out him. She'd be like, "Screw you." You know what I mean? No, I seriously think that whatever happened, I think it was probably a combination of the 3 things. One, his brain started to rewire around the deceased lefty part, which we could brain scan him, and we can find out what part of the brain is the lefty brain. We can.
Oh, that would be good.
We could lobotomize that shit. Anyway, okay, and a combination of that, and that he's forced to wear adult clothes. To dress like an adult now. And really, I am telling you, people, I dress like a slob now thanks to COVID. But I'm telling you, when I put on that suit for that job interview, the suit makes the man. You feel it. You know what I mean? Okay? So combination of that. And also, he was isolated from his crazy wife for several months. Or not several months, but for a couple months. While he was recovering from the depression, where he looked at things in a different worldview. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it's possible. With Fetterman, I think it's possible. I think that, I would love to see someone.
Oh, and they also had the
software to be able to certify something.
They also had the big lump removed from the back of his brainstem, so that could also be key in it too. Yeah. So. Well,
the brain surgery, yeah, and there's an expected. So I've actually had worked with someone who went through some. I've seen change in people. So, yeah, you sit there, you wonder, and they talk about a total change. It's possible. I don't think you can physically change someone as much as I've seen with the Biden pictures, but I do think, again, I could be wrong. I'm not telling anybody I'm right because it's a theory. It's nothing more. Do I think it can be proven either way? Absolutely. We just need someone who's willing to come out and publicly do it. My big question to everybody is, why is the media not doing that?
Because the media is controlled. Because the media no, seriously.
They
No,
know.
this is why. Okay, this is why the independent journalism is so important now, and this is why they're trying to crush it. And don't get me wrong, there are independent journalists that get all kinds of crap wrong, and they deliberately do this. Okay, so they can point and say, "Look how stupid you guys are! You believe that conspiracy
Yeah.
crazy stuff."
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you got to watch it. But like, look at right now, Tucker Carlson. By the way, his episode just dropped where he's interviewing Vladimir Putin. That just dropped, so that broke the internet. Just now, actually. No, just a couple hours ago before you started the show. So that dropped. Where he interviews Vladimir Putin. But look how they're hating him. He's a traitor. Oh my God! How dare he interview Vladimir Putin? Yeah, look at all the regular.
I actually want to go. I want to go listen to that because I want to see if he says some of the things that I think are possible. So I'm going to be listening to that. So
I've been going over
I
some of the
recommend
comments,
everybody who wants to know. So you've only been getting the Ukrainian propaganda if you live in the United States, unless you're looking for more. You're in general, even from Fox News, you're in general only hearing the Ukrainian point of view. And I think it would be interesting to hear. I mean, I have my big question that I would love to ask Putin. If there's one question I would ask is, why did your men go through Chernobyl? That's the only question I want to ask. I think he has an answer. When they went into Ukraine, they went through Chernobyl.
Oh, right. Didn't they secure it or something?
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
That is I know what the Russian propaganda, or the person who told me it's Russian propaganda, said. But I'm the one who tends to believe that more than anything else, because anybody who is our age or older knows Chernobyl was a bright light in terms of nuclear disasters. And anybody who would send their military through an area that was known to light up their gonads, and then they wouldn't have as many military because their boys that they sent over to take care of things came home and they were sterile. Isn't thinking.
What could they retrieve from that? I mean, that's so.
They didn't retrieve.
Ancient.
What I found out, they didn't retrieve.
What's your conspiracy theory? I'd be interested to hear.
Well, it's on one of the past videos. If you look at, so there was a rumor that the Russians received that in Chernobyl, there's more than one nuclear plant in Chernobyl, and that's something I didn't know. So there's I think there was 3 or 4 in the area, and one of those was being rumored to have a dirty bomb on it. Again, it was rumored that
Chernobyl is a dirty bomb.
So that they were creating one. That was one of the things. At the same time, in this area, in the particular region, I will say, that we're talking about, it was rumored that there were biochemical weapon warfare stations that were.
Actually, no, that's not rumor. Those are ours.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
United States of America. Those are United States of America. We
that were being run by. Tell everybody who was run by.
CIA.
The guy whose name is.
Hold on. No, the Institutes for National Health, aka Fauci.
Yes. So that's the other thing there. So one of them was one of these rumors that were, again, I was told were Russian propaganda, was verified fact. So it makes me wonder if, again, these were 2 pieces I found in one document, which makes me wonder if the other element about the dirty bomb was accurate.
Well, see,
I went looking, and I don't normally look for stuff like that, but I just wanted to find if there's anything that would explain it.
That's what I was talking to Eric about last night. He couldn't confirm or deny, but yes, we have special forces for forward operating bases pretty much all over the world.
Yes.
In these hot zones. where they just observe, or limited contact, limited interaction. But no, these are
Yes.
definite military our personnel, which is the whole reason for the mRNA vaccine. Well, we're probably running out of time. Remind me to explain that whole thing when I found out about why it was spun up so quickly, because they've been working on this stuff since the 1990s. Anyway, I do
Oh yeah,
want to
we have
address.
that. That's actually documented by
Yes,
yeah, the guys behind the mRNA virus. So
yes.
the mRNA quote vaccine.
They
Okay,
wanted
let's go through gene therapy. Gene therapy.
yes.
Yeah.
The DOJ in the 1990s, they issued for a contract for grants, grant money, federal funding, to develop a vaccine that could be spun up quickly. The priority was 6 months to a year, and that would provide 98% protection for up to 12 weeks with what do you call it, boosters being able to be generated and spun up within that would provide extra protection for an additional 6 to 8 weeks. That could be spun up in a matter of a month or so. So in other words, and it specifically says to protect our war fighters operating in Central Asia, where bat viruses are common. So they deliberately, this is what they wanted. Something that could, if you're going to deploy your forward operating, your special forces, your war fighters into the jungles of Asia, into China, wherever, and you don't want them to get sick, you could spin up this vaccine, inject them. They would be protected for a good, 6 to 12 week deployment. And if necessary, you could give them a booster that would give them an extra 6 to 8 weeks.
I
This
want
is
to go back to
deliberately
what
what they
John.
want.
Yeah, John Wilson. Good point here. He said a Biden double sounds rather silly to me. Just saying. So he does have a. If he does have a double, surely the double would make more sense. So John, you're asking the same question. So
Yep.
here's my wild thoughts. You ready? Wild thoughts. We serve a living God, and sometimes God interferes with someone's plans, and that's my only answer. Maybe there's two bibbling idiots out there. That's all I can say.
Actually,
And
Paul.
yeah,
Can,
well, hold on. Let me
can I
finish this
address-
one. Let
sure,
me
sure.
finish this one. You can go back. It says even if Biden retroactively is determined retroactively incompetent, that wouldn't invalidate the bills he signed, because bills become law without a signature, but could affect the 10 bills he vetoed. And you know what? I agree with
that's
you,
not
Houston,
true.
on this too.
No,
Yeah,
that's not
bills
true.
don't become law. Bills don't become law without a signature in this country.
Yeah,
For
they have to be
for
signed.
you have to be signed. You can't be. Yeah, they don't become.
They can
They have
do.
to absolutely be signed. They
No,
get rejected.
they have to be signed by the president in order to become law, but they can do a silent veto where it gets sent to their desk and they just put the bill in the law in their desk. It's called a desk veto, and if they don't sign it within like 180 days or something like that, then it's automatically, it's considered a veto. It has to go back to Congress or the Senate to be adjudicated.
They did it purposely to draw out the process. That's
right.
the process. Yeah.
So that way he doesn't say I actually vetoed. He can just say I forgot. My memory
Do it again,
is
guys.
failing me. Yes. But anyway, I do want to address John real quick on a couple things, if you don't mind. He said, I disagree with you, Red. Churchill was a great, wonderful orator, even when he was drunk. Okay, no, you're missing what I said on this. This is historical documented fact.
Yeah, he's not. Red is not disagreeing with you at all, John. He's agreeing with you 100%.
Back in the 1930s, they did not have sound systems set up in the House of Parliament, where they could not grasp, the orator speaking, all right. So basically, what they would do was that Churchill would give his speech before the House of Commons or full Parliament or whatever it was, and then sometimes yes, he would be able to make it to the BBC sound studio, to re-record what he had just said to the House of Parliament, But in some cases, actually a lot of cases, that he just couldn't make it because he was busy doing, I don't know, prime minister war things. You know what I mean? He couldn't be, troubled to make the trip okay, 3 blocks down the road in a horse-drawn carriage or whatever it was, okay, to get to the BBC Sound Studio. So yes, they actually did hire a voice orator, and a lot of the recordings that you hear of his famous speeches, including, I believe, the famous one, "We shall fight them on oceans, we shall fight them on the seas, we shall never surrender." That one, that recording, even though he did give that speech to Parliament, that one is a recording, okay, that was done by a voice actor in the BBC Sound Studio.
Oh, I
Okay.
didn't know that one. That's one
Yeah,
of the ones
well,
I like to
okay.
listen to. Yeah.
Again, I could be corrected on that one, but a lot of his famous speeches are done by a voice actor. Okay, that sounded just like Churchill. Okay,
And he
right?
did give those speeches in person. It
Mhm.
just later on they were.
Not only did he
That
not only
makes a
did
lot
he
more
give them, he
sense.
wrote them. Not only did he give them, he
Yeah,
wrote them. Okay, these are
that's
his words. Yes,
wow.
but
I wish we had more
but
men that would do those kind of things.
exactly. No, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Now, one other thing I did want to address. Okay, regarding what you brought up regarding the body double thing. No, hold on. Oh, what you brought up something.
I said, well, there could be two idiots out there. I said we have a great God in charge, and
Oh, right.
somebody
No.
put
Okay.
a body double out there, and I said, well, God might have just
Okay.
decided to have somebody else find their dementia faster.
Okay.
That's all I
Okay.
could
Okay.
say.
Here's what I'm thinking. And I've discussed this with other people. I actually think that the whole Biden, the absent-minded president, the senile president, the foolish president, is specifically where seeing the fruits of that. I'm thinking it's made up. I'm thinking it's like the guy from the mob in New York City. He was the head of the Lucchese family. For no, they actually prosecuted under RICO the wrong guy, saying that he was the head of the Lucchese whatever family in New York. Okay, under the famous Five Families RICO case in 1990s. They got the wrong guy. The real head of the Lucchese whatever mob family was this guy, Jimmy the Chin. That was his name, Jimmy the Chin. He walked around in a bathrobe, in pajamas, with a walker, down the streets in Manhattan or Brooklyn or wherever he was at, where he would talk to the pigeons. And he would walk around these wise guys and they would treat him with respect. Da, da, da. Well, they had to follow him for years. Turns out he was the leader of the mob. He just pretended that he was a senile old man, and they finally got him, and they put him in prison. But no, that was his whole thing. Is hey, I'm just a crazy old man. What do I know? But he was the head of the mob. You know what I'm saying? So look at this. Is the fruits of this. You can't prosecute me. I'm too slow, dim-witted, and stupid. See that?
But they got him.
Right.
Oh,
Anyway,
I want to say
all right.
thank you, Red. Thanks for joining me. I don't
No
usually
problem,
do a
brother.
lot of political lately, but I miss doing that.
That was great.
God bless you all for listening and staying with us. Share some of this stuff out because it's mind-numbing. And anybody who wants the PowerPoint, just send me an email. I'll send it to you, baran_research@yahoo.com. If you want any of the things I have done on critical thinking versus Shariah, I'm willing to share all that. I'm hoping to take all this stuff that we've done in critical thinking versus Shariah and create a series of books on the topic. That's my end goal. Next week, I hope that we will be done with G section on the funeral book. And the thing that has me really excited is that means the next week we start on Zakat. So we're going to be talking about jihad. We're going to be talking about Muslims paying other people to become Muslims. And we're going to be talking about a whole slew of things, which I think will be a lot more exciting than than prayer and taking care of dead people. So 2 weeks, guys, we'll be there. Thank you, Red. God bless everybody. All right.